route split. Left, right, but don't go center. And meet up again just here at the top. Even a proper warning for the riders. Here we are getting close to the distinctive rock formations of this area. Top of the hill, top of the mountain, but technical section.
I'm paying attention.
Where are my spectacles now? There they are. Do we have to? Paul, let's talk to each other. I mean, just hang on. Just let me do something here. Lift this arm. No, I'm going to go. I've got to go. Put it there we go.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And it's hidden there. Okay.
You want us just to chat quickly?
Okay, Paul, let's
Okay,
talk.
well, Gerald, it was a tremendous honor for me to share a bedroom with you last night, and
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Your shot on the two of us, not on this chair.
We have to keep a wide shot.
But then let's move this chair out because it's looking.
Now when the guest comes,
We'll move it in.
we can do
Yeah, I think it's rather than have an empty chair. It's,
just that we don't have another camera.
yeah. Are we?
No, we sorted it out. Don't worry. They've got it under control down there.
That
One of South Africa's top three-day mountain bike stage races takes place in the harsh, rugged landscapes of the Western Cape's Koa-Bokkeveld region. Mountain bikers from all over the world make their way to Callio Guest Farm just outside Ceres to test themselves over some seriously challenging terrain and monstrous climbs. 270 kilometers and 5,500 meters of climbing in rocky, rugged mountains leaves no place to hide. Over 3 days, every single rider is pushed to their limits in some form or another. Only the toughest will raise their arms in victory after completing the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek, brought to you by Biogen.
Hello and welcome to our coverage of the 6th edition, 2018's Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen. It is a beautiful day here in the Koa Bokkeveld, if you like. It is an extraordinary event, this, and it is unfolding on stage 3 in dramatic fashion. Paul Belstar is with me here. Paul, you've been here for the entire race. We've got a field that is one of the best we'll ever see in this event.
Well, absolutely true, Gerald. It's a breathtaking field. The best pros in the world are out here. World marathon champion Alban Lakata, the best cross-country riders, Manny Fumek. They've all been here. They've all been racing. And the general comments have been probably the best 3-day stage race you could ever find, real mountain biking.
You talk about real mountain biking. Stages 1 and 2 under the belt here. Stage 2 is legendary already, courtesy of the Merino Monster climb. But stage 1 for many is perhaps in some ways tougher because it's very technical and pretty rough terrain.
It is. They leave the camp out here at Kaleo, where we've been for the last 3 days, and transverse across the valley floor into the Witzenberg Valley. They go over Ovarput, which is amazing to ride, and their first taste of real single track in this area. And they drop into what we call the Honeycomb Valley, the Witzenberg Valley, and they circumnavigate that. They do one huge climb in it. So it really is a great introduction, especially for our overseas riders. I mean, they come back, well, they start thinking that they're really good riders, and they come back with eyeballs like saucers because they've never done mountain biking like this ever before.
So the event has attracted some of the very best riders in the world. We've got the world marathon champion Albert Lakata. He and Christian Heineck, in fact, are leading the race at the moment. But we're seeing some very impressive performances by the South Africans. And you feel that from a South African perspective, to have our riders matching themselves in this sort of terrain against the best in the world is serving them well.
There's no doubt they've narrowed the gap. Over the years, there used to be a large gap in between our riders and the internationals. This year, people like Philip Buys, Pyga, Eurosteel, they're third on GC, Philip Buys and Matthias Bierkes, the Prince of Oshorn. They are sitting right up there with them. They're 2 minutes off the lead today, and the action out there on this final day is going to be frantic. That's the only word to use for it.
Final day is phenomenal speed that they're going at, but they hit the beautiful Hodenbeck trails, which is that's the highlight for the riders today, isn't it?
It is. It's single track, which has been hewn out the really solid cliff faces in the Cederberg. It's the first taste of real Cederberg mountains, and you just talk about the speed. It's 87 kilometers today, and winning time we're expecting 3 hours 15. So literally an average speed of 30 kilometers an hour. We're not talking about tar road. We're talking about some of the roughest riding you could ever do. And that is the stature of the riders out here at the moment.
Well, let's just go there, because this is what we're going to be seeing here. The likes of Alban Lakata, the current world champion. He's a 3-time world champion. Christian Heineck, an Absa Cape Epic winner. He's his partner, one of the most experienced riders in the world. There we've got South Africa's silver medalist at the World Championships. Alan Hatherley is here. He and Simon Andreasen, a former junior world champion and cyclocross world champion, won yesterday's stage. Phenomenal performance by them. Nicola Robach and Daniel Gesmeyer are two who are red hot form at the moment. Maxime Marot, the French champion, is here as well. So the quality of the field is just superb, and hence the speed there. No one wants to let anyone else get a break.
No, you're right. The only time the break really goes is when they get a mechanical, which has happened obviously in territory like this. Even for our top pros, mechanicals and luck play a huge part. But today, I think for our cross-country specialists, if they can stick with the pace over the first 20 kilometers of open road, once they hit that single track, that is when the gaps might occur.
Right, that hits. They hit that after the first water point, the Hodenbeck trails there, and we'll be bringing you beautiful images of that through the morning here. In the women's race, we've got, I suppose, in some respects, a fairly surprising leading pair there, haven't we?
We have definitely our own
Candice
Lill.
yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
No
I've only
worries.
been speaking her name for the last 3 days.
You're forgiven.
But
Been a tough
Candice
week.
Lill, Helen Gruber of Germany, she came out here as a total unknown. Still very, very young, slim as a reed, but on the bike she's an absolute powerhouse. Technically, she is amazing. I mean, Candice Lill was one of the top under-23 cross-country riders. Helen Gruber, watching her go over those technical downhills, is an absolute dream on a machine. And they are leading by a good margin. I mean, barring any huge mechanical problems or a blowout in their legs today, they should walk away with the win. But then it's never over until the fat lady sings on the final line. So
absolutely. Robin de Groot, the former South African marathon champion, is back here after a torrid 17 years. She's in good form with Sabine Spitz, that combination together. Sabine, by the way, beat Helen Grobert to the gold medal at the German Championships. So that's the sort of quality we've got here. And then we had some sad news yesterday. Jenny Steenerhag, defending champion with Esther Sus. Sus had a nasty fall yesterday.
No, she did. And, you know, the irony is, in mountain biking, you lose concentration for 1 second, and it can be devastation. And that's what happened to her yesterday in the first 5 kilometers. She hit a little ditch. Obviously, it's very dusty and dry out here. There is a drought in the Cape. And she came down. And, you know, we're talking about a world marathon champion. She's 40-odd years old, all the experience in the world. It can happen to anybody, and it happened to her yesterday.
Right, we're talking about the sharp end of the field, but of course this race is about so much more, because there are 650 riders who've made the journey out here to Callao to take part in this event. And of course, for each one of them, it's a serious challenge. It's a boundary breaker. It's pushing the limits. It's a training ride. It's a serious race. It's got all manner of different permutations for every single combination out there, which makes it so entertaining, because there's so much to come in this year. So for so many, it's putting themselves in position to see what the form's like later in the year. But of course, on its own, 3 days of the most rugged, intense mountain bike racing. It has everything here.
No, it is. For most people, this is the race of a lifetime. You know? And as you say, people push their physical boundaries out here. Winning time take yesterday for our pros was 3 hours and a couple of minutes. For our last people, the heart and soul of this race, it was 9 hours in the saddle yesterday.
It's a lot.
So really, you know,
Yeah.
physically and mentally, you take your hats off to them. They are the bread and butter of this race, and they're people you admire. And they come back year after year and do it.
It's the bedrock of mountain biking in this country, those people who come and race these races week in and week out. We'll be seeing some of those faces and riders as they make their way around this final stage of the event. But stage 1 and 2 certainly took a toll on tired bodies, tired legs. People who had aches and pains thought, well, I'm not going to get through stage 3. Some of them have decided not to ride. Others will be nursing themselves very carefully through this stage, just in the hope and anticipation of getting to the finish and ticking this one off, because it's a big tick.
Yeah. I think what has really helped this race this year is that the weather's been the coolest we've ever had in the 6-year history. Normally the Koa Bokkeveld is 40 degrees. This year it's been around about 25 to 28. And for this area, that is like winter. So the riders have had a lot of luck on their side. But still, it's a war of attrition out here. The riding is so hard that, you know, even for fit people, by the third day, you can see the pros starting to dissolve and fall apart a bit.
Yeah, it's the who's who of mountain biking in South Africa. They're all here. This is one no one wants to miss, but it's also attracted, as we've said earlier, the very best riders in the world to test themselves in conditions that will do just that for whatever their goals are later in the year, be they cross-country specialists like Alan Hathley, Simon Andreasen. They'll be racing the World Cup in a couple of weeks' time in Stellenbosch, and this certainly will, can only but serve them well.
Yeah, very definitely. I think that's why you've got such a good turnout this year. Obviously, after that, we got that small 8-day race, the Absa Cape Epic as well, which you're all aiming at. And this is a perfect training ground to see how you are, what level of fitness you are at the moment.
So stage 1 was 83 kilometers, 1,900 meters of climbing, and starting and finishing here at Callao. They all do, of course. Stage 2, 87 kilometers, 2,200 meters of climbing, with that one monster in the midst of that, of course, towards the end of that stage. And stage 3 today, 89 kilometers, 1,200 meters of climbing. So in a sense, it's a more forgiving day. It's not as much climbing, but that Hodenbeck Trails section will test them.
Very definitely. And just remember, Gerald, the fatter it is, especially for the pros, the harder they go. So it's going to be no holds barred today. The pace out there is frantic. We'll see the visuals just now. So no day is easy when you're racing at that level. And if you're a back marker, it is just turning those legs to get to the finish line. But they've got all the fun. They take the pictures, they relax a bit, they stop at every water point. The pros today, I don't think they'll stop at one water point. They'll just be going flat out. They'll have 2 water bottles on their bike, and that's all they'll use today.
Right, so Albin Lecata and Christian Heineck from Canyon Toe Peak lead the race. So they won the first stage, and they were second yesterday.
Correct.
That's right. In second place, the Cannondale Factory Racing 2 pair of Marcel Guerini and Maxime Marot. So the Swiss, and Marot is the French champion. You'll see him in the French champion's jersey there. They were riding essentially in support of Manuel Fumic and his partner Enrique Avancini, the Brazilian. But Manuel had to withdraw from the race yesterday.
Yeah, he had a bit of a lower back problem, and obviously with a big year ahead of him, he decided that rather be cautious and not push it, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
If you're a pro, you've got to make those hard decisions, and he did yesterday.
This is a UCI race, there are UCI points here, but a man like Manuel, he's a cross-country specialist, of course, so he's got bigger fish to fry in terms of his year. So, yeah, just being a little bit conservative there. Avancini is out there. He's riding today, there's no question. So is Jenny Stenach, who's without her partner. So is Ariane Luthi, who's without her partner. So they are riding there because they see the importance of getting these kilometres and riding these trails out there. So we've got the top two. Third place is Philip Base and Matthijs Bierkes, all conquering last year. They won every stage race they entered. If you take the Absa Cape Epic into contention, they won the Absa Africa jersey there. So they were supreme last year, the Paige Eurosteel pair. Bierkes, as you said, won the Atikwas earlier this year. He's in great form as well. So they're a danger. They could be the dark horses today to spring one.
Oh, very definitely. I spoke to them yesterday afternoon. They're totally motivated at the moment. They're only 2 minutes off the pace, really. And 2 minutes in mountain biking, just one slash tire, it doesn't matter how good a mechanic you are, it is going to take you much longer than that to repair it. So all of the pros are very aware what is at stake today. As you say, UCI points, great prize money for them as well, equal prize money for the men and women, which is always tremendous to see. And I think that top bunch today are riding on tenterhooks. You know, they'll try and ride conservatively and safely, but at the same time, they'll be going, as we call it, flat box the whole way.
Absolutely, yeah. Or full gas, as Carl Platt would talk. He's here, by the way. You know, he's a legend, stage racing legend. Carl Platt, Huber, not having the best of weekends.
No, they're not. Of course, Carl Platt broke his hip recently, so he's on the comeback trail at the moment. What I really admire about those two is they are world champions in their own right, is that they've continued soldiering on. A lot of professionals might have dropped out the race and said, this is not for me. Not Carl and Urs. You know, they've hung around, they've talked to everybody, and I think just their presence in the race, being the champions of the past 3 events, has really given mountain biking a good name, because it just shows you how champions should behave.
Absolutely. So they're not in contention here, but all in contention are one of the most exciting pairs in this race. They're cross-country specialists, Alan Hathley and Simon Andreasen. Andreasen doing his first major stage race here. That's a big ask, because he's a short track racer, he's a cross country racer where they go full gas for an hour and a half and they do their bit. So it must be a challenge for him. Alan's done the Pioneer, he's done a few stage races, but for Simon it's been, I think, quite a challenge.
No, it definitely has. I must say, hugely impressive, both of those two. To put it in perspective, yesterday going over the Merino, which, as we know, is a 1,000-meter climb over 12 kilometers. It's a huge mountain on Earth. They came over the top in 4th place, and it's a treacherous descent, and they passed all the other riders on the way down. The risks that they took and the technical skills they showed yesterday was absolutely mind-blowing.
Well, you need everything on the this event. The Tankwa has got absolutely everything: descending skills, climbing skills, single track, open roads, getting into the bunch, having bunch skills as well. So it really does test the full gamut of your talents. So just to go through, Hathley and Andreasen in 4th place, Nico Bell and Matt Beers, another new combination, riding for NAD Pro Mountain Biking in 5th place, having a good week. Javi Kombrink has teamed up with Wessel Boerter, the new signing, the youngster in NAD Pro. They're in the mix there as well in 6th place. Simon, Steve John and Tim Burma, the other Bulls team, and we also talk about the other Bulls team because they ride in support of Carl and Urs, but they're going nicely in 7th place. Nicola Robach and Daniel Gesmeyer, super strong, super talented, but they've had their mechanical issues, haven't they? They came in yesterday with all sorts of problems.
They have, but if I was a betting man, I'd say today they are definitely going to be on the podium. I think today they're going to let everything out there, their frustration, their levels of fitness, as you say, are right there. So I think they are going to be men who are going to be possessed today on this last stage.
Right, they are Centurion Vada by Goldwurst, and then Jan Vitar and Ben Melt Swanepoel in 9th place, and in 10th place, just to close them out, Julian Jessup and Philemon Sabona. That's a fantastic result for them in this sort of company, the Page Eurosteel second backup team. Real talents, and two young men who've got ambitious hopes of getting to the very top of the sport, and they've got great role models in Philip and Matthijs, and they're riding in support of them. So they're in the top 10 in this very, very loaded field. That's a top result.
No, it's an amazing result, and it just shows the talent that we have got, and we've got to thank our sponsors as well out there. We're now starting to see teams, the two big guns like Philip and Matthijs, being backed up by these two young men. I mean, they're gaining experience every day. As you say, they're riding with great role models, but they're producing results at the same time, and that's, for the future, that is so impressive for us and exciting.
Absolutely. There's so much talent here. There's so much skill out there on the trails of this Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen. It is the 6th edition of this event. Now, when it first started, believe it or not, there were 80 riders in this field. I mean, I was sitting at dinner last night alongside half my family ride this race from this part of the world, and one of them said, "Oh, you know what? We got a top 10 in this race. Do you know that?" He was in that race of 80 riders, but it's come a long way, and this campsite, this setup here is extraordinary.
Well, it is, and I think one of the great things about mountain biking, Gerald, is it showcases the beauty of our country. And the Koa Bokkerveld, an area which a lot of people don't come to, is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, every stage is different. All the riders have been commenting, saying what a great place it is to ride. Everything is just different every day. So for the internationals and for our local people, it's a huge eye-opener. And I think the best way to see our country is not in a car with an engine. It's on a mountain bike. You get into places which you'd never go to otherwise.
Absolutely. There's a rider out from Japan at the moment, Yuki Ikeda, is in the country. He took part in another event and then came out here. And standing at the start, the wonder on his eyes. He's ridden a lot of races all over the world, but couldn't believe, firstly, the size of the field, and secondly, the extent of the organization here. Absolutely tented camp here for most of the riders. There are luxury tented options. There are a few guest houses as well, and everything is taken care of for the riders' needs here by the Dryland team, including the food, which, as ever, is absolutely world class.
No, it is. And I think the comment which always comes back from the internationals is the standard of our organizations in this country. We have got the best stage races in the world. And per capita, we've got the most stage races in the world. I mean, there's no other country in the world which has as many as we do in this country. And this race, Momentum Health Tankwa Trek, presented by Biogen, is a showcase race. It really is. There is nothing out of place. And for 3 days, you get 100% Hollywood service at this amazing venue in the middle of nowhere.
All right. So, who's going to win today's stage? Who's going to win the race? Well, the gaps are 2 minutes and 24 between, not at the moment, going into the stage. That is after 2 stages. Heineck and Lecarte of Canyon Toe Peak lead Marcel Gurini and Maxime Marot of Cannondale Factory Racing 2 by 2 minutes and 24 seconds. It seems quite a lot, and at 1,200 meter climbing and at 87 kilometer stage, you think, well, maybe they won't make that up against wily competitors like Heineck and Lecarte. But as Paul alluded to a short while ago, any little moment taps there, maybe you get behind the wrong wheel in a little single track or a climb, and suddenly that you lose ground. So anything can happen. 2:24 is not that much, and down to third place, 3:41, Basin Bierkes behind Heineck and Lecarte, and then Hathley and Andreas in 4:41 in fourth place, and Nico Bell and Matt Beers 5:29. Then it jumps to over 15 minutes to sixth place. So the top 5 is still very much alive in this event. As I said, anything can happen here, and we've seen it before in countless events, how things can turn on their head there.
Yeah, very definitely. I think if this was road riding, a 2-minute gap, you'd say, is more than sufficient for the day. But this isn't. This is real riding in rugged territory. So you're quite right. It's a short gap to jump. And I think the exciting part of today is second and third place. There are 4 teams who could move up onto the podium today.
Yeah.
So, we're looking at a real race for the finish line today.
So just to turn our attention to the women, as we've been saying, it's also UCI equal prize money here, which is a fantastic initiative. It should be. Candice Lill and Helen Grobert, the German rider, and South Africa's Candice Lill, it's fantastic to see her riding with such confidence and such fitness and strength now. She's reaching, you feel, her true potential. Former cross-country junior bronze medalist at the World Championship some years ago, but she, I think, is now finding where she belongs here in marathon stage racing. So she and Helen Grobert of Dormakaba have a 4-minute and 16 second lead over Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz of Team Ascendus Health. Mariska Strauss and Yolandi de Villiers are having a great week. Silverback Volvo team, they are 16 minutes back. And then Bianca Horn, Amy McDougall, 20 minutes back. And then Sam Sanders and Carmen Butkaka, they are 44 minutes back. So there's some bigger gaps there, but still opportunity for Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz, so experienced, to maybe spring something on Candice and Helen.
You're quite right. And as you said, Robin de Groot coming back from injury and really, I think this is the first race I've seen her for a while, riding with authority again. You know, she's a multiple marathon champion, and she's got, as we say, her mojo back again in this race. Her fitness is there. So you're quite right. Sabine Spitz, of course, Olympic champion, multiple world champion. She might be 40-odd, but
she's
she
the German
still,
champ. She beat Helen Grobert almost.
Well, there we go. A 20-year-old falling to a 44-year-old. I mean, it's lovely to see that.
It's fantastic. I mean, she's Sabine Spitz is arguably one of the most decorated cyclists in the history of women's cycling. Gold, silver, and bronze medals at the Olympic Games, multiple world championships at cross country and marathon. She's got everything. So I think that the one thing missing is a couple of these big races here in South Africa that she wants to add to her list. And fantastic that she comes back here in such great condition and at racing at right up at the sharp end here. So I think the inexperience of Helen Grobert at this sort of race, Candice Lill, who is experienced but is now under the pressure of leading the race and with that great incentive of getting here and taking the title, is going to put some pressure on that combination at the sharp end.
Yeah, I think at the moment, Candice and Helen are feeling like a pair of mice in a snake pit, because they know they're all watching and they're going to strike at any opportunity that they possibly can. So, yeah, it's going to be tight for them, but they have been riding with maturity over the last 2 days. Candice, we all know very well. Helen Grobert, well, what a surprise package. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this German lady.
So we've chatted a lot about this event and who we've got here, but let's reflect back on the racing that's happened here over the first couple of days. And let's go back to that day one. It's a tough technical racing day. Let's have a look at how the racing snakes went on day one.
The sun rose to reveal a nervous but eager field assembled in the Kaleo Guest Farm Race Village on the first day of the 2018 Momentum Health Tankwa Trek, presented by Biogen. As the final preparations were made by amateurs and elite riders alike, they were all itching to get the racing underway.
I think with a strong field here, it would also be a good indication of where our form is this time of the year.
So yeah, we're looking forward to it. Tankwa's always rough and sandy and hard and lots of single tracks, so I think it's going to be awesome.
Looks like a lovely cool day, which is quite unusual for this race. So I'm looking forward to the racing. The women's field is big and it's going to be really competitive and exciting.
Last year was last year, this is a new race, so we just go in it as any other race and try to do our best. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
The elite men were the first out of the gates, followed shortly afterwards by the elite women, and then at regular 5-minute intervals, the rest of the field began their Tankwa Trek adventure. In the men's race, the pace was frantic from the off, with the cross-country specialists Manny Fumek and Enrique Avancini from Cannondale Racing 1 driving hard on the front of the group. Their relentless acceleration soon had all but the leading contenders in a reduced lead group. One rider who did not make the split was Carl Platt. Carl Platt is still recovering from a fractured pelvis and is riding his way back into race shape. Platt bulls two teammates, Tim Bomey and Simon Steepjohn, were the next to drop off the lead group when Bomey punctured near the 30-kilometer mark. From there, Fumek and Avancini were aided by Pyga Eurosteel's Philip Bass and Matthijs Biokus, the local heroes, as they reduced the group to just themselves and the Cannondale Factory Racing 2 team of Maxime Marot and Marcel Guerini, and the Spurs Specialized team of Alan Hatley and Simon Anderson. On the main climb of the day, the Kenyan Topic team of Alban Lakata and Christian Heineck bridged across to the leaders. Lakata and Heineck then took over the pace, making duties on the homeward bound roads, and soon whittled the group down to just themselves and the two Cannondale Factory Racing teams. In the closing kilometres, though unable to drop Fumek, Avancini, Marot and Gurini, Heineck and Lecarte dissuaded any attacks and eventually won the three-way sprint finish to take the stage victory and ensure that they start the Queen stage in the leaders' yellow jerseys.
Yeah, for us it couldn't be a better start right now with the new jersey, with the new team, and it's just great.
The women's race was similarly frantic from the word off, with Dorma Carber's Candice Lill and Helen Grobert setting the early pace with Team Spurs' Ariane Luthi and Christina Coleman. Lill and Grobert kept on attacking and distancing the other teams, but each time Ascendus Health, Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot and Merendal CBC's Jenny Stennehaag and Esther Soos managed to fight their way back to the leaders. That was until the descent from the highest point on the day, which started at the 55-kilometre mark. By the water point at 60 kilometres, Lill and Grobert had opened a lead of 1 minute and 30 seconds, which they managed to hold until the finish. Ascendus Health caught Merendal CBC in the final 15 kilometres and rode together until Spitz and de Groot managed to slip away in the final 100 metres and gain what could be a valuable 5 seconds on the defending champs.
Teams are so even this year, so it's definitely going to be hard, but we're going to do our best and see what we can do on the climbs, because I think that is our strength, so we'll at least give it a try.
After 83 kilometres of racing, Kenyan Topic lead Cannondale 1 by a single second, with Cannondale 2 in third, only 6 seconds back. Dorma Carber leads the ladies' race by 1 minute and 25 seconds over Ascendus Health and 1 minute and 30 seconds over Merendal CBC. The second stage of the race takes in the trails charred by a fire which swept up the Dutoy drop from the Kulunov farm on Tuesday afternoon. It includes 2,200 metres of climbing and the infamous Marina Monster in its 8-kilometre distance. As a Queen stage, it could prove decisive in determining who emerges victorious overall in the 2018 Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen.
Well, that's day one's racing out there. And it has been, you saw the intensity that was in there. I mean, it's phenomenal for riders who perhaps aren't used to seeing at the sharp end just how hard these guys go from the start. And I think we've seen it over the last year or two, how the cross-country races, and you talked about Avancini and Fumic, they're putting the hammer down early. And they've almost upped the tempo at the sharp end with the marathon stage racers who used to slower start, get the diesel engines going. Suddenly they're having to stay with those cross-country races from the start.
You're quite right, Gerald, and we call it dead legs in cycling. You know, if you start the day with dead legs and they're not operating properly, you've got absolutely no chance. You know, they'll put the gap on you immediately, and to fight back, even over 87 kilometres or 90 kilometres, at that level is virtually impossible.
So I think what we're seeing is that, we talk about cross-country specialists and marathon stage race specialists and so on. I think that gap is closing up. I know historically we've had Christoph Sauser winning both world titles, yes, and multiple Absa Cape Epic titles, but he was the exception. You got the Karl Platz and Albin Lecartes and Christian Heinecks who are specialists at marathons. Now with the likes of Andreasen and Fumic and Avancini and Nino Schurter and Matthias Stunemann, they're all quite capable of performing at the very highest level in marathon and stage races.
They are. I mean, if you have a look at Nino Schurter, the current world champion, he came out, did all our major races, including the Absa Cape Epic, which he won last year with the Young Guns, and then went on to win 7 World Cups, which no other man has ever done in the world of cross-country in a row. So, in the beginning they felt a bit scared about doing a major stage race or a couple of them back-to-back and then going into the World Cup season. I think that myth has now exploded. They realise what an advantage it is to get those solid miles in their legs and then just work on their speed during the World Cup here.
And what it's doing is it's transforming the traditional style of marathon races into being more explosive, more intense at the start of the race, so that they can stay with those guys at the sharp end. So it's a fascinating dynamic little backstory to how things are unfolding in marathon stage racing, which is in its sense still very young as a sport. Perhaps 15, 20 years at this sort of level. So we're finding how it is unfolding. Let's go to stage 2. The Merino Monster, 2,200 meters fire here in the area, as you alluded to there as well, which had a problem at Dutoy's drop.
It did. It made it very powdery and what we call sketchy, so slippery, even with your knobbly tyres. And for a lot of riders, it was their undoing yesterday. But at the same time, that's part of mountain biking.
Yep.
You know, if you mountain bike, you are going to fall at some stage, and it's part of the experience, part of the adventure. So, you know, most riders got up and went. As we know, Esther Swiss couldn't continue, but I think it's great for the average rider to see that even world champions come down in conditions like that.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at day 2's highlights from the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen.
With the infamous 9% average gradient Merino Monster on the cards for stage 2 of the 2018 Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen, there was a pensive atmosphere in the race village before the start.
Yeah, it's a step on the preparation, and today will be another hard stage, but we will give our best.
Looks cloudy, it's not really sunny, it's cold at the moment. Let's see how it's going to warm up, and then I mean it's the Queen stage today, big mountains ahead, and we just try our best and then see how it works.
We were just enjoying and ride our bikes as fast as possible like yesterday, and I'm looking forward to the second stage, and I will enjoy my ride with Candice.
Yeah, I haven't been here for 2 years now, but I do remember the monster climb. I don't think anyone can forget that.
But the day is about far more than just the Merino Monster. The Detroit drop had to be navigated first. Once the pre-climb to the Monster started, the ascent would not abate for a shade over 20 kilometers. It was perhaps his knowledge of the long climb to come which kept the pace slightly slower in the early kilometers than it had been on stage 1. There were early shake-ups in both the men's and women's field. Manuel Fumik would draw within the first 5 kilometers, citing a back injury, while defending women's champion Esther Swiss crashed dramatically in the lead to Detroit drop. The Mirandale CBC rider had to be taken to hospital for stitches, but fortunately the doctors report that she'll be back on the bike within 3 to 4 days. The leading men's group reduced and reformed as riders punctured or suffered mechanicals in the first 30 kilometers between water points 1 and 3. But by the time they reached the base of the Merino Monster and water point 3, at the 55 kilometer mark, the group was 20 riders strong. On the steep lower slopes, the group fractured as the Centurion Vode by Goldwurst power pair of Nicola Rohrbach and Daniel Giesmeyer attacked. The Swiss and Austrian combination were the first team over the summit and claimed the 10,000 Rand King of the Mountain prize. They were followed over by Paiga Eurosteel and Canyon Topic. Despite only summiting 4th, the Spurs specialized team of Alan Hathley and Simon Andreasen were able to make up time on the challenging motivated descent and inherited the lead near the bottom when Centurion Voda by Coldwurst Power punctured. The young guns then time trialed to stage victory, crossing the line 36 seconds ahead of race leaders Albin Lakata and Christian Heineck, with NADPro, MTB, Nico Bell and Matt Beers in the 3rd place. The result sees Lakata and Heineck extend their general classification lead, and Cannondale Factory Racing's second team of Maxime Marot and Marcel Gorini move into 2nd position. Philip Bose and Matthijs Bierkes of Paiga Eurosteel move up to 3rd.
Managed to actually ride from 4th all the way back to 1st, and then we time trialed all the way back to the finish, and we managed to get the stage win, so really happy to make up some time.
A little bit more comfortable, but it's still, anything can happen. It's one mechanical is enough to lose the yellow jersey, so we still have to stay focused and ride on the safe side and try to control the race, and we'll see tomorrow how it goes.
The women's race followed a similar pattern to the men's, with the remaining general classification contenders Dormakaba, Ascendus Health, Silverback Volvo OMX and Team Joburg to Sea starting the Merino Monster together. Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz of Ascendus Health had saved energy for the climb and made the going tough, shedding Yolandi de Villiers, Mariska Strauss, Amy McDougall and Bianca Hall from the lead group. De Groot and Spitz claimed the Queen of the Mountain prize over Candice Lill and Helen Gruber, but were unable to stick with the young chargers on the descent, which followed. Lill and Gruber established a 2-minute lead over De Groot and Spitz, which they extended by a further 51 seconds by the finish. Ascendus Health crossed the line in 2nd, and de Villiers and Strauss completed the stage podium. The result sees Dormakaba extend their general classification lead to 4 minutes and 16 seconds over Ascendus Health. Silverback Volvo OMX move up into 3rd at 16 minutes and 30 seconds off the lead.
Our second, Helen was fourth over the line, so I'm not actually 100% sure Helen knew it was a Queen of the Mountain, but it's okay. I mean, we were with them over the top and we knew our advantage would be down the descent, so we managed to do that.
We brought it home and we attacked also the flat parts in the last 20 kilometers, and that gave us the gap to win the second stage.
The final stage is 89 kilometers long and includes arguably the best single track section of the entire Momentum Health Tankwa Trek, presented by Biogen, the iconic Hodenberg Trails.
Well, I think what is very clear from those two races yesterday, well, the men's and women's elite UCI races, was the advantage the cross-country specialists had on the descents there. You mentioned about the Hathley and Simon Andreas, and there's Candice Lill and Helen Grobert as well, taking advantage on the descent. So those, again, what we were talking about, cross-country and marathon coming through.
Yeah, I think they've upped the amount of single track in this race, which does benefit them. But on the other hand, they've still got to have the legs to be able to stay with those marathon specialists on the intermediate longer road stages. So it really shows that the talent coming through from both sides is absolutely amazing, and it's great to see the young guns doing so well this year. I mean, they're doing exceptionally well in these trying conditions.
Right, we're going to bring you a live coverage from the route, as you caught a glimpse there, the riders in the trails at Hodenbeck, and these are quite simply sublime. It really is. Sharp and Mervis farm and trails here, they are absolutely beautiful.
They are. He's done an outstanding job out there. You know, to think that a local farmer could produce world-class single track, and it's attracting people from right around the world. You know, they come and stay on the farm and ride it regularly.
And that's the essence of this event, is that these trails are built by mountain bikers, by farmers here who have a passion for the sport, and that's, each day has its own little stamp, doesn't it, from the farmers?
Well, it does. You know, day one, the Hanekom brothers in the Witzenberg Valley, then Moti yesterday with the Merino Monster. These are all men, as you say, they're taking part in the race. They're riding it, they live and dream mountain biking, and that's why the quality of the route is so good, because, as you say, they know what they're building and they know what a mountain biker wants.
And they know what they want to ride, and that's the beauty of it. Saki and Hannes Hanekom, in fact, racing here. They're a competitive pair of riders, aren't they?
Well, they're leading the amateurs.
Yes.
They're holding the white amateurs jersey at the moment, and they're not going to let that go today. You know, they're going to really try and keep that, because for them, that's a dream come true.
Right. We just wanted to connect up now just to illustrate the difficulties of bringing this to you, and that's no excuse. We are doing this to bring you live coverage of the third day of the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen. But the fire that raged through here last week destroyed a whole heap of cables, fibre optic cables, making it rather difficult to connect up. But we're doing our absolute best to bring you the pictures. We did get pictures earlier today of the start, 6:30 start here, nice and cool, sharpness in the air, and a great tension on the start line as well, to see those top riders lining up there, the best riders in the world, and it really has been great. Let's have a look at the start this morning as they rolled away from Callio here.
Wasn't good. They made two mistakes last night. They told me it was going to be an easy ride today, so the brandy was flowing like it's going to be never again on the menu. And then when I came to my tent, it was like, let's decide everybody will snore tonight. And because I was last year, I couldn't sleep, and now I'm going to suffer.
Yesterday was a hard, tough ride, but otherwise gone well. I'm really enjoying it, eh?
Is it?
Just got to pick up some energy to get dressed now.
Okay.
It's been amazing. This race is probably the coolest 3-day stage race I've done so far.
Yeah, it's been going well, thanks. So tough 2 days. I'm looking forward to it being a little easier today. Huh? Yeah, so we'll see.
I'm looking forward to the race. Quite good recovered from yesterday, and it's a pretty fast day, and that suits me, or suits us, and I think it will be good.
So all of you enjoy your final day here at Momentum Health Tankwa.
Yeah, we've also learned in mountain biking that it's not over till it's over, so we also need to have a good day and see how it goes.
So that was the thoughts and views of the riders at the start as they headed off on a truly spectacular day. And again, we can't emphasize enough how fortunate we are to have such good weather. That's one of the farm dams here. Very low, obviously the drought that's plaguing the Western Cape is playing havoc with the farmers in this part of the world, and they're having to box very, very clever with the resources they have to keep going. But this is spectacular view, isn't it, for the riders?
No, it is. I mean, if you look at the countryside, it's stunning. And the first 3 kilometers today was what we call a neutral zone, so they all had to stay in order in the pack.
Hardly.
Yes, over here. I mean, the enthusiasm, even on day 3, and it doesn't matter what age you are, you just want to race. You know, and you can see the big gaps already appearing.
Yeah.
The front is doing 40, 45 kilometers an hour. The back is, if they're lucky and they're feeling really good, doing 15 km.
Yes. There we go. Look at the accelerations. And that's not the very front of the group either. They're trying to catch the group in front of them. The speed is phenomenal. These riders are absolutely tearing along here in this dust. And some good skills. Beautiful visuals from out on the road early this morning in the shadows. And already the group's starting to separate out there. Simon Andreasen in the red and white on the right there. Pygo Eurosteel guys there in their grey or silver and luminous yellow. Lovely to see them here, the South African team there in such good form at the moment. And look at that split already on these open roads. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. So this is live action from the route. We can tell you this is from the Hodenbeck single track trails. After Waterpoint 1, around 37-38 kilometers, they go into that trail. And this is where, if you want to be in the mix for the stage race, stage win, you've got to be in the right position going into these trails. Not too many opportunities to pass here.
No, you can't. As it goes by name, single track means that there isn't much passing space. You're riding on a little path. And if you look at the speed of those front runners out there, they ride the same speed in the single track as they do on the open road. And that looks like Nicola Roybach and
Daniel Gesmeyer
in the lead at the moment. And that's what I actually thought. These men are really going to put down the hammer. And they've got quite a good gap out there. You know, that 10 meters suddenly becomes 20. They've got open road in front of them. So for the men chasing them, it's going to be much harder to get back to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Roybach is a highly talented rider, very versatile. He's done cross country, he does cyclocross, and of course marathon stage racing. So a very, very dangerous man to have on the front of the race here. But it looks like we might have the yellow jerseys there of Lecata and Heineck, who are keeping a watching brief for them. As Lecata said at the start of the race, it's a fast day today. 1,200 meters of climbing, so there are not that many opportunities to make a serious gap. The other riders would have to rely on perhaps a mechanical with one of the other teams. Basin Bierkus in there, I think, as well.
Yep.
And perhaps that's Matt Beers behind there of NAD Pro Mountain Biking, the large frame of Matt Beers in that. So this is the front group here. A little bit of a fracture going on with the single track, but they're all pretty much within contact of one another. But these two are clearly looking to use this opportunity to get away.
Well, they want the win. I think that's all their frustrations after 2 days of mechanicals and bad luck against them. I think they really want to. And as you see, there are splits in the trail at the moment. These splits allow the riders to take one route or the other, and it gives them a passing opportunity.
Dual track.
Dual track, that's what we call it.
Yeah, Charles Morrister is his farm here, and a little bit of dual single track. You can see that little split going away to the right there, and an opportunity to pass or to let another rider pass later on in the race. That won't happen here, that's for sure.
Well, it looks like they're all regrouping out there. That's Alban Lecata in the lead at the moment, and Christian Heineck. You see, the great thing for them, they've got a 2-minute lead,
yeah,
and they just have to follow the wheels today. They don't really have to go for the win. They've got the advantage already.
Defend for them. This is Basin Bierkus, and they are with Nico Bell and Matt Beers was there. I saw that Alan Hatherley was nicely positioned just on the wheel of Alban Lecata as well. So Hatherley and Anderson will look today to take advantage on this trail, but they might be a bit disappointed they're not at the sharp end of this group, because they'd really love that. Look at that, how incredible that is, isn't it?
Well, that is our front runners crisscrossing with the middle of the pack out there. And I mean, for the amateurs, it is absolutely amazing watching the speed, agility and power of our pros on the same route that they're riding on.
Sensational trails, these absolutely beautiful through this pristine wilderness area, Hodenbeck, and it really does give you goosebumps to see these riders snaking through their rock formations and the vegetation. Just beautiful.
Yeah, the Cederberg, definitely, it's a geological marvel. It really is something different from anything else on earth. And for everybody today, it is one of the best days on a mountain bike. There's no doubt about that.
So Simon Andreasen on the front of that little group there, and he's a highly skilled mountain bike racer. So he's trying to put some time in. But Robach and Gesma are making this one count. They're putting a bit of time in there. As Paul alluded to, they are no threat to the GC. So from Lecata and Hynek's perspective, they can say, well, off you go, no problem at all, let you go. They're riding on a dam wall there, and that again an illustration of how desperate the situation is here for the farmers in terms of the drought. These dams are absolutely bone dry, which is pretty sad. Nicola Robach there, proper racer.
No, he is. He's got boundless energy in those legs at the moment. And him and Daniel, I think today, they're going to try and make the split coming out of the single track. And once they're on the open road, they're both exceptionally powerful on open roads. I think that's where they're going to really put down the hammer and try and make the gap.
Yeah, Big Mechanicals yesterday finished with a shattered back wheel, so they had problems there. And again, that's all the other teams in this field will know that can happen to them. So they've got to be very, very wary of how they look after their equipment here. Maxime Marot, in fact, is on the front there, the French champion. He's riding with Daniel Gurini just behind him, who rides for Team Focus, although Marot is riding with the Canada team at the moment. And then it's the yellow jerseys of Hynek and Lecata. And then behind them it might be Avancini, and then we do have Paige Eurostil in that group.
They're
as
sitting
well.
right in that bunch out there. Philip Boos, Matthijs Bjorkes. And at the back, it looks like Nad Pro sitting there as well. So Nico Bell and Matt Beers, he goes by the nickname of Shrek. He is a rather large individual, but amazing power. They're sitting there. So they're not away yet.
No, but what we have there is the leaders in the race. Hynek and Lecata, Gurini and Marot, Boos and Bjorkes, Hathley and Andreasen. I say that with some caution. I'm not entirely sure that they're both there. That's Marot in the French champion's jersey. Gurini behind him, who's a cross-country racer as well. Then Hynek and Lecata behind them. But the team that's out of the top five, who's in this situation, are the leaders, Robach and Gesma. They are 29 minutes behind the yellow jersey, so no threat at all to the yellow jersey. And so they're quite comfortable. Yellow jersey are just worried about those riders around them now.
Well, if you look at it, those are all the potential podium men who are marking one another at the moment. And they are just going to watch one another. They're not going to expend any more energy than they have to today. And they know that when they get into the last 20 kilometers today, Gerald, that is when it's going to be a massive explosion. Because that's when, if your legs are feeling slightly off, if you're feeling tired, you can lose 2 or 3 or 4 minutes in a mountain bike race over those last 20K. So, yeah, it is action supreme. And I must say, what a marvel. In the middle of nowhere, in the Koa Bokkerveld, we can bring you these amazing visuals.
Well, we were just at that moment, but they were on the open road there. So, as Paul was saying, you get on the open road now, that they're going to, the leaders are going to be opening up as much as possible, put some pressure on, see who's going to crack if they can lose a couple of those in the lead group there. But it's a short-ish stage for these guys, a fast stage, so it'll be unlikely that we're going to see any major fractures there. But again, Gesma and Robach in great form there. They'll want to make it count. They're strong on that open road.
They are, and I mean, they came here that really as potential winners. They're not going to go home as winners, but as in any race, winning the final stage is always of great advertising value because there are so many people here coming to watch it, and that's what we need in mountain biking.
Listen,
is spectacular finishes.
These guys race, don't they? And they want to win. I mean, it doesn't matter what race it is. You want to be on the podium, be it for the stage or or the overall. And Gesma and Robach had a incident-plagued race. They've had a lot of mechanicals, so they want to get on the podium and have a stage win here. That would be fantastic for them to do that, for their sponsors and for themselves, to give them some confidence. So we'll see how they go as they've come out. Looked as though they've come out of that Hodenbeck trails, and they were on the open road powering towards the finish here. Blisteringly fast pace they're going there. I mean, your time at 3.25 hours?
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the maximum time today. And if you think that they've already done virtually 40 kilometers now in the space of an hour and a bit, it just shows you the pace that they're traveling at.
Yeah.
Our backmarkers at this stage haven't even entered the single track yet.
Right, now that gives you an idea. Open road now. Gesma and Robach out front there, and just as it was widening that shot, no cyclists behind them, no riders behind them.
No, that gap is growing the whole time, and I think they really have thrown caution to the wind. They're going to leave absolutely nothing out there on the trail today. They'll arrive here exhausted, but if they've got the win, they'll have done their sponsors, themselves, a world of good out there today.
29 minutes the gap they had on GC. So again, just to re-emphasize, that is your GC group. There is the yellow jersey. There's second place in there. There's third place in there. Fourth place in there. These are the guys who are battling for overall GC podium positions. They're not too concerned about what's happening with Gesma and Robach at the moment up front. Their main concern is to keep an eye on each other here. Whilst 2 minutes and 41 seconds is the gap between first and second, Paul was talking about earlier, the battle for the other podium places is still very much up for grabs.
No, it is very, very definitely. And as you look out there, you might wonder, well, how do they know where they've got to go to in these open trails? Well, the markings have been absolutely brilliant, world class out there today. We've got black arrows, which they follow. We've got orange bush markers. So absolutely nobody's got lost over the last 3 days, and that says a lot about the organisation once again.
Well, how's this now? We're on the e-bike out there. Brian Lennox has got a camera on his chest there, and he looks as though he's following a legend there in Ariane Luti, powering along here. Fantastic images, isn't that just amazing? She's going along the dam wall there. Fantastic.
And of course, she lost her partner the other day, Christina Coleman, the Austrian and European marathon champion. So she isn't allowed to influence the race at all today. She's got to ride behind the leaders and ride as hard as she wants to, but she can't what we call tow people around or add assistance to another team. So she's doing exactly everything right, and that's what you expect from Ariane. She really is a champion. She's having her own race, improving her fitness and, of course, her confidence leading into the races of the year. But right now, she is sitting behind them and just watching the race unfold ahead of her.
Jenny Stenhoag is also in a similar situation without her partner. Enrique Avancini is the same situation without his partner. So they using this, of course, as great, very valuable training and an opportunity to get more racing time in their legs. But as Paul said, not allowed at any stage to influence the racing at all. Sit at the back of the group or way off to the side if it's an open road, and just don't get involved. How cool is this? Brian Lennox doing a great job there on the single track, on the e-bike, and right in the racing. This is the way to get right into the racing and to see exactly what these riders are going through. Brilliant stuff.
Well, I mean, the visuals we're enjoying have virtually never been seen in the world of mountain biking ever. I mean, as you say, Brian is right there in the race, watching it unfold. He's got the best seat in the house.
Now, that could well be Gesma and Robach going up the climb there. They've got a man behind them, and there's the other group up the switchbacks here. So one man has gone up ahead, and then this is the GC group, the yellow jersey group. It's banked up behind them, more and more riders closing in on them, and that's not a big gap there. A couple of switchbacks as they snake back onto the district road, the dirt road now.
No, it isn't a big gap at all, and they'll know that. They're very, very experienced. I'm not quite sure who that third man is creeping up there. Of course, they race this event in teams, and they're not allowed to be more than 2 minutes apart from their team member. And obviously, when you get to the finish line, you're only as fast as the slowest rider in your team. So they've got to look after one another today.
And not all the team members are wearing the same kit, of course, because they come from different... some of them obviously are, but the Canyon Topi team are, and the Bulls wear the same kit, of course. But like Maxime Marot is wearing his national champions jersey, Marcel Guerini in the red, and obviously Alan Hathley in his champions jersey, and Simon Andreasen wearing a different jersey. So sometimes they get ahead. You're not quite sure who's gone ahead there, but we'll pick them up as they come through there. But Robach and Gesma doing as expected, I think, after yesterday's disappointment, having a full go on the front there. Is it too early?
It could be too early. Remember, at this type of speed, sitting in a big pack, you've got the advantage of drafting. You can conserve a bit of energy. But if you look at that following pack, Gerald, it's getting bigger and bigger. So this race isn't over yet, that's for sure.
So Marot there, it looks like one of the Pygo guys on the front there.
No, it is. In fact, that's Philip Boos
Yeah.
and Matthijs Bierke sitting on front. And they're the boys, I think, who really want the win today.
Yeah, they're the guys, and I tell you what, they're a sound bet as well for this win. They've been so skilled. They've ridden together for so long. They know each other's skills so well that they could well be contenders today.
And you know, they're only a minute behind second place overall at the moment, behind the Cannondale pairing. So they could be the surprise package moving up on the podium today.
Absolutely. Be good to see South Africa's premier stage race pair, premier marathon races as well, with Matthijs Bierke winning the Attakwas a couple of weeks ago. First South African winner for 6 years there since he last won it. So that was a great achievement. Guerini there, and then the yellow jersey just behind them there, the signal breaking up, unfortunately, but we're doing as best we can. I can tell you what, it's a phenomenal effort to bring you what we are from out on the trails here, because it's not the easiest thing, but we've got great connectivity just at the moment, and there is that group. So I think that there's one of that rider up front is the other Pyge Eurosteel rider. Perhaps they've decided just to keep an eye on Gesma, send one man up the road to close him down, because we've got Marot and his partner Guerini, then the yellow jerseys, then Nad Pro, then another yellow jersey, and the two men behind them are chasing. Couldn't make him just there, but maybe that's what's happened. One man's gone up the road.
Well, as you said earlier, they're using road riding tactics on these open roads, and what you always do is send up probably your weakest rider in the pairing and say, get behind the two leaders, and the stronger one will gap up to them eventually, hopefully for them, once they get further down the road. But right now, if you look at this pace, to make any gap at 40 kilometers an hour on a mountain bike is virtually impossible.
Yeah, it's unbelievably fast. They are so intense out there, and that's what's at stake here. There's stage win here. There's GC opportunities for these riders. I mean, there's no way anyone's going to let this one slip away.
No, definitely not. And probably when we do pan back to the ladies, I think it's going to be very much the same picture. Our big contenders are all going to be sitting together watching one another. But that group out there really is getting bigger.
Yeah.
I think the guys are creeping up from the back at the moment. Remember, we've got 20 of the best pro teams in the world. So, you know, they're all going for the win today.
Yeah, I think Pyge Eurosteel putting man on the front there, trying to burn it off a bit. And he's got T-Mat up the front. I think that's Philip in there.
Philip Boos, I think it's probably Philip Boos sitting there, although at the moment, if you look at the form that they've had, and with Matthijs winning Attakwas the other weekend, I think he's the stronger of the two, but you never know. You know, it's and they'll have discussed it. You know, as they're riding along, they'll have said, listen, I'm feeling absolutely great today. I'll remain behind in the bunch. You go up and follow the leaders. So it's a discussion that continues throughout the day. They talk to one another. They help each other. They feed one another. So if you watch the top pros, very often different teams, they actually share food out there. But when you're not strong enough to stay with a group anymore, they just say sayonara. Goodbye,
Sorry for you, yeah.
Sorry for you.
Yeah.
It was nice knowing you, but we're gone.
Pull into the water point and get some food there. 3 water points today through the stage there, and there's these top guys are very unlikely to stop there. That speed and that intensity, they're not going to give any opportunity. So here we go. Oh, a little bit of a delay here. I think that might be that's our leading pair.
That's our leading pair. That's definitely Pyge still sitting on their back wheel there.
So they just a little bit of a hesitation there as they turned onto this open road. And
well, I think the problem there was it's a very quick exit coming. It's a slight downhill exit coming out the single track. So that'd have been what we call motoring coming out the single track, and then suddenly a T-junction. So, you know, it's just even the top pros get caught by surprise occasionally.
And now they're in full throttle once again. Gesmeyer and Robach hammering along now. Is that not Enrique Avancini?
Well, it could be. He's racing on his own. We know he's super strong at the moment, and that might be the reason why he's sitting at the back, because he can't influence the race at all. So I think you're quite right. That is actually the Cannondale Green that he's racing in. He's a Brazilian champion, an incredibly nice guy, but very frustrated at the moment, having lost Manny Finemick, his partner, and they were second overall. So I think that is, you're quite right, Gerald, that is Enrique Avancini sitting on the back there.
So again, it goes back to the illustration of not influencing the racing. There's enough of a gap for him to say, you know what, I'm going to go up the road and just sit on the wheel here. He is clearly in some seriously good shape at the moment. And he's saying, well, look, guys, and we cannot underestimate the opportunity. Now look at this, going straight through the water point here. We think that we're assuming they are, because they were going through there really swiftly.
You're quite right. They wouldn't have stopped. There we are back to the visuals, and they're right through the water point in seconds.
So Avancini is saying to them, I'm got my partner here. Obviously that does give you a little bit of freedom, but the rest of the field and the rest of the riders around are saying, wow, did you see what he did there on his own? You know, so it's a little bit of a statement out there for long term, for other races and other events. But he looks very comfortable there behind.
Well, he does. You know, in fact, he's just taking something out of his back pocket at the moment. Well, that's Nicola Robach taking a bit of food out there. It's probably going to be a goo at this stage, because they will have to replenish their energy. But Enrique Avancini, fourth at the World Cross Country Championships in Cairns at the end of last year. He is a serious threat to everybody. But right now, he's doing exactly what he should be doing, abiding by the rules of marathon racing, and watching these two men doing the race of their lives at the moment.
Yeah, Gesmeyer, 28-year-old, he won the Swiss Epic last year with Jochen Kess, so he's got pedigree, and a podium finish at the Absa Cape Epic last year. Robach, he was so strong again last year at the Tankwa Trek. He was riding with Lucas Flukiger, but unfortunately Lucas fell ill, so they didn't finish as a team, but he was third with Gesmeyer at the Epic last year, so we know his pedigree, and this is a big opportunity for them to put a marker down in the sand and say, we're going to be contenders.
Yeah, so the race behind them is all of our leaders on the podium at the moment are watching them, and as you say, they couldn't care less whether they move away or not. Enrique Avancini isn't even part of the race. He's allowed to ride in it, but he's got no result at the end of the day. So for the podium finishers, it is just a case of let them go, but let's watch one another closely.
The race is happening behind them, to be fair, in terms of the GC. That's all happening behind them. I don't know if you caught a glimpse there of, as they go through the little, what they call in these parts, a blat. In Afrikaans, that's a pad, if you like, a flat cement pad where they'll put the bins where they're in fact harvesting now this time of year in the farms here. Unfortunately, the drought has caused major problems for the farmers here. Talking to some of the farmers who are riding this race, the major concern is that the size of the fruit at this time of the year. Normally, it's a big, juicy, big pear or apple or whatever it is. They're so small at the moment due to the drought. But you caught a glimpse earlier when Gesmeyer was on the front, and there was a little switch, almost a U-turn, and he just flicked his head 20 meters ahead just to indicate to the riders behind we're turning right here, and they could all follow. So it's a game of just keeping each other informed all the time. Little glance over his back. Robach is in the red, Gesmeyer in the white.
Yeah, Enrique Avancini quietly sitting at the back there, and as you say, he's on amazing form. He hardly looks fussed about this pace at all, and I think every pedal stroke is becoming more frustrating for him, because him and Manny Finnick were really on great form, but Manny being out the race now with that lower back problem, Henri can just sit there and say, well, let me get some experience, let me get some fitness, and he knows that he's right at the top end, at the sharp end of the field now.
Finnick is going to the World Cup in Stellenbosch. I'm assuming Enrique Avancini is also going to be racing the World Cup in Stellenbosch, and that's the key here for them. It's a different year for the top cross-country races, because we've got the World Cup a week before the biggest mountain bike stage race in the world, the long one, the Epic. So it's how they've been preparing for that is perhaps a little bit different, but perhaps not. I mean, these guys, they know exactly how they go about things. Talking to a guy like Nino Schurter, he said, well, I'm not doing too much different. But then he doesn't race these races here. He's training. He was training on the road around Stellenbosch yesterday. So they have different ways of approaching these years.
Yeah, they do. And I think that the big thing for all of these top races is it's a great yardstick out here at the Tankwa Trek at the moment. Yeah. But you can't be too fit and win this race hands down if the epic is what you really want to win. So
peaking too early, yeah?
Peaking too early. And all of these top riders have got professional fitness coaches who are all here at the moment with them. And they test them every night when they get off the bike, etc. They know exactly what they're doing. You know, they're like Grand Prix engines, these pro riders. So it's a very careful balancing act throughout the year to keep that level of fitness and keep winning and getting on the podium.
All right. So we're going to pick up pictures as soon as we can of that lead group. Just to put it in a nutshell, we've got Daniel Gesma and Nicola Robach, who started the day 29 minutes off the pace here at the start on GC. So they're no threat to the GC unless disaster happens, which is unlikely. Then you've got Alvin Leccarter and his partner Christian Heineck of Canyon Topek, and then the Philip-based Matthijs Bierkes pair, as well as Maxime Marot and Daniel Gurini. They're all in that group. So are Matt Beers and his partner Nico Bell. Yeah, so they're all in that concentrated group of GC contenders. That is where the race is sort of unfolding. Gesma and Robach look to have about a minute, not even, maybe a minute on them, and they've got a pilot fish sitting behind them in Henri Gavancini, who's not allowed to be involved in the race at all. So that's how that is the scenario as they came out of the Hodenbeck trails there. They've got a way to go still, an 87k day, but there's not really too much in terms of a serious climb for them to get away and make anything happen.
Yeah, there's one very short, sharp, steep hill. It's only about 400 meters long, but if you've got tired legs, it seems like Everest when you're going up after 3 days of racing. And a bit of new single track as they come back into Kaleo, which has just been built. It's absolutely amazing. But the open roads are going to allow them to really put down the gas, our two front men. And it's going to be a road race literally on dirt back to the finish line.
Now, these things happen in mountain biking. There's been a slight error from the leaders. They took a short detour off the course back on, and that group has closed in on them. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Gesma and Robach, a slight navigational error, and now the group is back on them. That's news from out on the road there. We'll try and bring you pictures and further news on that. But it's one of the things that can happen in mountain bike stage racing, particularly at the sharp end, where the guys' heads are down and they are going absolutely flat box out there.
Quite right.
You miss a turning, you look up and you pass the flag, but you think you're on the right road, and off you keep going. So it does happen. But we'll bring you hopefully the images and see how close they are to that group there. Just going back to the women's race, we were with Ariane Luthi there. She was on the back of that lead group of women there, and they all looked pretty much compact, the leaders. There's a 4-minute lead for Candice Lill and Helen Grobert of Team Dormicab at the moment over Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot of Team Ascendus Health. So similar sort of situation evolving there. There's no way that the pink jersey leaders are going to let anyone get away from them. So it's going to be a very, very tactical race today. But for Candice Lill and Helen Grober, just sit back and mark their
follow the wheels. That's all they have to do, and keep safe and don't do anything stupid. I think the advantage in the men's race of that chasing pack is you've got around about 14 guys who can work together and conserve energy, and obviously it increases your average speed. Whilst up ahead, Henri Cavancini isn't going to do anything, but Nicola Roybach and Daniel Giesmeyer, they really have to work on their own. It's just the two of them against 14. Well, physics tells you the 14 have got the advantage out there.
Absolutely. And then it'll come down to who wants to win this stage, the final stage most. It's going to be a fascinating culmination to the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen, and we'll bring you that live action right here from Kaleo.
Raji, did you know you can track your exercise sessions on your fitness device and upload via the Multiply site and then start earning health returns?
And the best part is, with your health returns money, you can get things like vitamins and supplements.
And even cosmetic surgery.
And with the savings you make on your contributions, you can pay for your kids' swimming lessons or your own batting lessons.
Got it, Budgie. You'll get it quickly. So you're saying if you're active, Momentum will look after your financial wellness? Pretty much, that's what I'm saying.
Back here at Callio in the Bokkerveld in the Western Cape, an absolutely perfect day. I promise you, there is not a breath of wind here. The trees are dead still. It's cool. It's perfect. Really, really gorgeous day here for the racing to unfold. Now, here's our lead group, and I think just going past that building up ahead, you can see some riders. And there, look at this chase group now. Probably 10 teams, 12 teams in there charging through. So it is concertinaing very, very much here after a slight error in navigation by the leaders. So let's see who we've got here. We've got Marot and Gurini on the front of this group. So they haven't yet hoovered up Gesmeyer and his partner Robach. The yellow jerseys are there. Piger Eurostil's there. NADPro's there. Andreasen and Hatherley are there. There's a heap of quality here that look like a Bulls team in there as well.
Yeah, that would be Siemens, Stepjohn,
and Burma.
Tim Burma.
Yeah.
Very, very definitely. I think all the major players are here. For them, it is just marking one another. But the action is really going to start over the last 20 kilometers. There's no doubt about that. But what amazing visuals coming out the Bokkerveld. It is like watching the Tour de France, except off-road at the moment.
Well, there they go, all back together, except for that lead pair. I'm looking further down the road. We can't quite see if they are up ahead there. I think they are. And it's all unfolding now as they charge into the finish here. Now, we've mentioned Henri Gavancini. He's out there on his own. He's been left alone.
He has, unfortunately. His partner, Manny Finnick, we're lucky enough to have him here in the studio with us. And Manny, with a bit of a lower back problem, wisely withdrawing from the race. He's got a huge season ahead of him. 5th at the World Championships last year, Manny, in Cairns, and your partner was 4th. You guys are in great form.
Yeah, we are in great form at the moment, and season is just about to start. And unlucky I had to pull out of this race. That was part of our preparation to come to this race and actually win it, and getting nicely in shape for the upcoming World Cup in Stellies, and then of course Epic again.
What is the problem with your back?
At the moment, I tweaked something. Just as soon as I pressed on day one, and then I didn't have the best sleep. I woke up and had a quick chat with Phil, our performance manager, and Dan, the team manager, and we just decided just to go out. We don't want to force it. We just want to make sure everything is right in place, health first. And we got still one more week of training, some intense training days ahead, and I just don't want to overdo it.
If we talked a little bit as we now look at the pictures here from that big bunch of the lead group, just in terms of your preparation this year, but with the World Cup ahead of the Epic, has that changed your preparations leading into this season?
Not really.
No.
It was always the same, and for me, Cape Epic become more and more like a goal. At the beginning, it's going to be, I think, my 4th time now competing in the Epic, and at the beginning it was quite of let's have a look and see, because I'm a cross country pro for nearly now 20 years, and I was always kind of focused on that, but Cape Epic and stage races became quite a big goal of us, and especially last year we were leading for 5 or 6 days. We were in yellow, and then unlucky Enrique just got like a stomach bug, and we couldn't really go with the front guys anymore, and just unlucky.
So that gave you a sense that you actually, and obviously Nino and Mateus's performance, we can win this.
Well, in the end, we are the best mountain bike riders of the world. We do cross country, and for me, like Epic is just like every day a cross country race. It's just like over 8 days. It's quite challenging. It's intense and it's hard, but we are the best. We don't have to hide.
What's happening here as we have a look at this group here, the yellow jersey in there, they're just quite content to let Daniel and Nicola go up the road.
Pardon?
Just like you're watching the pictures.
Yeah, sorry.
So they, I mean, it makes him on the front here,
Yeah.
and that Alban and Christian just quite happy to let Nicola and Daniel go up the road.
Yeah, I mean they have the yellow jersey. They just need to see, don't let anyone go and try to control the field, and stay in there, but don't waste too much energy. And I think they're doing a great job at the moment, the guys in the yellow jerseys, and just controlling.
Daniel and Nicola in good shape at the moment as well.
They are in great form, and I've got to ask you, Manny, I mean, you've raced all over the world, you've seen different conditions, different races. The standard of racing out here, the quality of our tracks, etc., that we have out here, the organisation, how does it level up to the rest of the world?
Well, there's a reason why most of the Europeans all over the world, they come and spend their preparation in South Africa. It's not about the racing. I mean, the racing level is super high. The events are so well organized, but also just in general, the mountain bike community in South Africa is just awesome. It's just crazy. You come here and you feel straight away comfy. You go out, you find everywhere. Every year we come back to South Africa, we find new trails. A new, just good training conditions, and this is the reason why every year we come back. I mean, our first time was in December here for the first camp, January, February, and then we fly back after that home for another 2 weeks at home, and then come for the final races.
Well, there we go, the lead group there now, big bunch all together now. Through the single track, it's split up a bit, but now they're all together with Robach and Gesmeyer down the road.
Yeah, I think the danger is you've got a couple of passengers sitting in that bunch out there, mainly because they actually can't get to the front because of the speed. But if they start working together, I think Nicola Robach, as strong as he is out there with Daniel Gesmeyer, I don't think that they're going to stay away for much longer.
Just on that, Manuel, about the intensity of the racing, there's a sort of general feeling that, like at these marathon stage races, there has been an increase in the pace and the intensity right from the gun. Is that right?
I mean, if you watched last year's Cape Epic, that was one of our goals, because in the end, the marathon guys, they are super strong over 8 days, and it's really hard to get them out of their kind of routine thing, and we tried something new, and then we decided last year at the Epic, we are world class in going from the start flat out. And we did that, I think, for 5 days in a row, and we just figured out even on day 2 or day 3 that we cracked them, and this was kind of a key thing where we said, okay, this is how we need to approach that kind of race, and then kind of start, be fast, and then afterwards trying to find our speed, and just ride it out the whole stage. And we were pretty successful last year with it, and I think, but it's not going to change, for this year. I mean, most of those guys, they changed a little bit their training. I think also the marathon guys, they go even more intense. And I saw that when I was competing the first stage here at the Tankwa Trek, that the guys, Alban and Heineck, they were a bit struggling at the beginning, but they were, after like an hour, they just came back, and I just saw, okay, they did their homework, so they tried a bit, they trained a little bit more intensive, and so I think it's going to be a really intense but also really interesting race at the Epic this year as well.
Well, talk about the intensity. Look at that. Christian Heineck absolutely
pushing hard at the moment. Pushing hard.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Going flat box out there. So it's just a little bit. He's still in there. There does seem to be an intensity that's gone here as they go past the empty bins ready to be loaded with the fruit from the valleys here.
Yeah, even if it's like it looks like flat to me, but I mean, they're going flat out. But on those kind of gravel roads, when you're sitting in the bunch, it's not easy, because if you turn all these little turns, right, what we can see now, if one guy just a little mistake and stuff, or wash out his front wheel, and then you got like a 5-6 meters, and you still need to close it. You see the last guy exactly was putting his head down just to get back in that group, and that's why I think positioning is key if you ride in a group like this, just to make sure you got the right back wheel.
One more comment before we say goodbye to Manuel. Sorry, Stellenbosch cross country course.
Yeah.
What's your thought?
Well, we spent some hours on that course already. I think it's a great course. I think there are going to be a lot of spectators, and it's going to be a massive big show. And I hope a lot of South Africans or just around Cape Town, they're going to show up and cheer for us at the World Cup.
Cool. Fantastic, man. Well, we'll see you there. And obviously it's later in the year. This is the lead group there. So there's that Piger. You're still on the front there. Thanks, Manuel. Thanks for joining us. There's the sharp end. There's Manuel's teammate on the back of that group, not allowed to do anything. Rohrbach and Gesmeyer. I mean, the engines here are phenomenal. Absolutely amazing power on the front here, Paul.
Yeah, it is. And if you look at Nicola Rohrbach, that head is starting to nod a bit, but that's the natural way that he rides. But fatigue must be setting in here. They've put down the pace and the hammer from the word go. And even at the back, if you have a look at Henrik, he is not relaxed anymore. He's really riding hard at the moment.
They're trying to make this gap count to the guys behind them. You can't see anyone yet behind them there. So it is working for the time being for Rohrbach and Gesmeyer.
Yeah, and if you look at the intensity of our chase pack out there, it's not the same intensity as the two front riders. So I think what they're doing is a bit of piano pedaling out there, a bit more relaxed, but they won't let them totally out of their sight because they realize that there is a big race still ahead of them.
Frans Klaas is joining us here. Why are you not riding now?
Well, I was ill since 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
The first day also didn't went well. I think I had already like a stomach bug, and I decided also yesterday not to start because I was really feeling not well.
Belgian champion, and now you are here in South Africa. You've been here a little while, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm here since the 10th of January already, so I've been training for 4 till 5 weeks already in these great weather conditions.
Yeah, I bet it's a lot better than at home, eh?
Yeah, at home it was almost snowing, freezing. It's not easy to ride and every day, like long hours, do a lot of mountain bike trainings, so it's much better here.
This is our leaders on the trail, and yeah, look at Henrik just having to get out the saddle and stay with the group there. They're looking good, Daniel and his partner Nicola.
Yeah, I was talking yesterday to Daniel. Try again. We go as hard as possible, and you can see it now. They are used to do the marathon racing. He's also doing great on the road, Daniel, and then especially with Nicola Rohrbach, such a great rider. He has such great power in his legs. Last year they proved it in the Cape Epic. They were third. They only took it at the last day. They took the third position. So now you can see they're really strong also at the end of this stage race.
Well, there's evidence that the chase group has concertinaed. They've slowed down a little bit here, although by the efforts made by some of the riders, they might be going up a little bit of an incline there. But that's the yellow jersey group there. An update from the women's race after 57 kilometers at the second water point is the team Dormakaba, which is Candice Lill and Helen Grobert, as well as team Silverback Volvo OMX, which is Yolandi de Villiers and Mariska Strauss. They are pretty much together at that water point, and then behind them, a minute behind them, is Team Ascendus Health. So a bit of a dynamic happening there in that women's race, which could see that the GC change there if that continues. We've got about 30 Ks to go. I'm not entirely sure where we are with the men's race at the moment, how far they've got to go with that, but the pace they're going there, as you saw, there's going to be, is there going to be a chase? Will there someone from that group, do you think, try and chase them down?
Well, I think for the win they are coming too late. I think Nicola and Daniel, they are so strong today, and it's not that hard at the end. It will go harder also in the bunch because there will come some single tracks in the last 15K. I was there myself as a solo rider last year. I was there with the front group, and at the end they were going so hard just to going the first into the final single tracks. So they will close the gap a little bit, but I think the gap is now too big to close it, and for the final win for this stage, I think Daniel and Nicola, they're in the best position. Now, you never know in this terrain. A mechanical can happen everywhere.
As they know yesterday,
Yeah, and then you lose 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's a real nothing. But I think the other ones now in the big bunch, they are maybe a little bit too afraid of Alban and Christian. Also, the other ones are also looking to each other for the podium. Everybody, is looking at each other, and they will just keep their energy, and it will be a big sprint to the last final single track. It will be amazing to watch.
It's fantastic, isn't it? It's you guys racing up at the sharp end there, and you get to feel it all the time, and you see it. But to see it close quarters now on the screens, our cameras are keeping us as much informed as we possibly can. Is amazing, isn't it? Getting right into the racing there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we need as a mountain bike sport, especially in stage racing, where it's not so easy to cover the whole stage. It's a bit like road racing, but on the road it's easy. You have motorcycles to follow the race. But in mountain biking now it's more possible with the e-bikes who can follow the mountain bikers, maybe with quads, with motors, like here with the helicopters. They're doing such a great thing to follow it, and to have really nice content. And then people can also really know better what's going on in mountain biking and can see how hard it actually is.
Marcus is still out there, your partner?
Yeah, my partner is still out there. I think I could see him in the big bunch now, so he's still doing well. So I have some confidence for our epic. We want to do as good as possible. Also, our preparation, wasn't that good the last days because I had to pull out due to illness. But yeah, we have some 2 weeks ahead of us with some good trainings that we will do. So I'm feeling better already, so that's good.
You had a nice Attakwas result as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I was fourth. Actually, I was not that happy.
Okay.
Because last year I won the UCI World Series Marathon ranking. So, and I was always on the podium of these races, and now I have a little bit mechanical problems also during this race. So I was coming for the win, or at least the podium, and then I was fourth. I was a little bit disappointed. But now I know the route, I know what to do for it to win.
Your first one?
Yeah, it was my first win at Attakwas.
How does it rank against all the other marathon stage races on the UCI calendar?
Yeah, this is the only UCI World Series marathon in South Africa.
Yes.
And you can't compare it with anything else in Europe. It's so rough here, and especially there were some fires before.
Yeah.
So everything was black. And then also it was raining, so we had like all kinds of mud, a lot of rocks, and then my mechanics just couldn't stand it anymore. So I had to change the wheel, and then my chain was flipping around the whole time, so I had to stop a lot of times. So not the best day out there.
Yeah.
But I can say it's very rough, it's very extreme, and it was a very long and hard race.
You cannot train in Belgium for that thing. Nothing like that, eh?
No, it's very hard. That's why I'm coming here, especially to prepare the Cape Epic, because this year there will be also similar races like Attakwas, similar stages, in the Cape Epic. So we have to prepare as good as possible for it.
Well, it's a pity you're not out there today racing, huh?
Yeah. It is.
Well, keep an eye on Marcus and keep an eye on you. Thanks, Frans, for joining us here. And good luck for your ambitions this year around the Absa Cape Epic. And you want to defend your title at the World Series, Marathon World Series?
Yeah, of course. I always want to perform as good as possible. This year, actually, my goal is also the Belgian Championship and then the World Championships marathon in Italy in September.
Right, Frans, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks a lot.
Get better as we keep you updated with issues here on the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek. We'll be back here to bring you action as they close in on the finish, and they're not far away.
I see even the clothes break down, Andrew.
If you keep your body and bike in shape, the rest takes care of itself. If you're active, you can earn up to 47% back on your contribution through health returns by Momentum.
So I can get cash back just for being healthy?
Yep, frees up extra money, and for me, I can put that into my retirement fund.
So you look after yourself and Momentum looks after your financial wellness?
Easy as riding a bike.
This is the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek, brought to you presented by Biogen, and it is the final stage at Kalia. Beautiful guest farm in the middle of the Kobokkeveld. Absolutely spectacular place to be. Great racing out there, perfect conditions, and we're getting towards the business end. They started at 6:30. They've been going for about 2.25 hours here. We're joined by Philip Dixon, the performance manager for the Cannondale team. We've had one of your riders here, and one of them's out there. Your man out there.
You were second and third in the sprint for the win on stage one, and if you're sprinting for the win, for me, it's a good day. You don't always win, but we were second and third there.
So we talked earlier, Paul and I, about peaking at the right time. Getting that right now, we go to our leaders. That's Nicola Robach and Daniel Gesmeyer in this lead group.
And then the riders have individual targets as well. But as a team, we want to perform at the highest level in as much as possible. We've got to try and crack the Swiss machine, and we're going to give it a good go this year for sure.
Which obviously leads us to why Manuel just decided to take it easy on today and not ride, and yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's never an easy decision to pull out of a race. To be honest, they're the toughest decisions, and but it was the right decision. Health first. Manny's been checked out. For us, we don't see anything major, but it was a feeling that sometimes you can push through, but he said, no, it's not right, this one. And we're pleased he made a clever decision, really.
Yeah. So the condition of Manny, all your riders, is so good. So what has transpired in terms of preparation up to now?
Okay, so we spent quite a bit of time in South Africa. We've identified the Stellenbosch area as a fantastic area to train.
You're not alone there, eh?
No. I think Nino actually is based out of there as well. There's so many nice trails. The environment's nice. The people are great. The food's great. We have a little bit of wine. But we spent quite a bit of time out here, and we started last year really. And it's paying off, to be honest. The level of the team is getting higher. And we had 3 in the top 8 at the World Championships last year, and Helen was 11th in the women's, and I think Helen stepped up again. She leads this race. Let's not forget Helen there, and across the board we're investing heavy, and we're seeing some results.
Yeah, she went well on the World Cup circuit a couple of weeks ago as well, didn't she? Or last week, yeah.
Yeah, she did the test race or the South African Cup, and she actually won by over 6 minutes. And for us, it was we learnt a lot from that race. In the practice, you talked about dry and the dust, and she nearly crashed a few times. So we took a lot out of that event. And if you're learning, for me, it's the right thing to do.
Paul?
Phil, I've just got to ask you, your athletes are like racehorses, but you're the trainer. And you've got to get them exactly right. Like any engine, you've got to control it. I mean, your job is so difficult. How do you get through it every day?
Sometimes a glass of wine.
Just a glass?
No, it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
We have a lot of characters in our team, and you want to promote individual strong characters, but I encourage teamwork. And as a team, we support each other a lot there. In the background, away from the races, there's a lot of planning that goes off in terms of the timing. The timing is not an easy thing to get right. And I think quite a lot of people really invest at the wrong times in their training and often turn up to the race and the legs have been left on the road. So this is a really important piece, and the piece I manage with the athletes. And my athletes that I work with always want to push, and it's one of the biggest challenges for me is holding them back, to be honest.
As you talk about the team, and it is a team, and yet there's this individual. I mean, it is an individual sport in many ways. So each individual has their own. Now we're with the women. There are our leading women, Helen and Candice there, and then it is Team Ascendus Health in there. There's no. In fact, it's Silverback Volvo MX. That's Yolandi de Villiers and Mariska. And
let's not forget Yolandi de Villiers, a mother of 3, in her 40s already and still racing at the sharp end of the field. What I've noticed as well, Phil, is how harmonious your Cannondale team is. So you all seem to be great friends as well, and that must make a huge difference.
Yes, I think we have a Brazilian in the team, we have a Frenchman, German, I'm from the UK, the media guy is from Italy. We're a multinational group, and we spend a lot of time on the road together. A lot of time, and I think to have a good atmosphere and promote the fun side of mountain bike is a really key piece. Otherwise, it can get a little bit heavy at times. But again, South Africa, I live in the UK, we have 262 days of rain in the year.
Could we have at least 20 or 50 of those?
It's very different to here, and the blue sky helps with the smiling and the good environment.
We're having just a few problems, obviously, as you see with our coverage, getting the link directly back to you here. And when we do get clean pictures, you will get them. Everything we possibly get nice and clean, and we'll bring that to you. But as I said, it is not an exact science. So we are dependent on direct lines and clear communication. So as soon as we do, we'll bring that to you.
Just we heard Frans Klaas making his prediction and saying that Nicola and Daniel will stay away. What do you think? Do you think that they've got the legs to stay away? I mean, the last 20 kilometers when you're going at that pace, it's not 20 kilometers. It seems like 100 kilometers because every second your body is shrieking. And I see physical signs that they're starting to get tired. Obviously, no surprise there, even though they are world class. Do you think they're going to stay away?
Well, I think the situation works in their favour. To be honest, they have a massive gap to the yellow jersey. The yellow jersey won't be too concerned. I think the yellow jersey is actually doing a great job of policing the race there. I know that the specialised guys and our guys are keen to try and step up one. The specialised guys are trying to get on the podium. The Pioneer guys are probably trying to jump us. But and to be honest, I think the guys will stay away. I think the yellow jersey there is doing a great job.
All right, Max, and the partnership with Guerini, just for this race?
Yeah, that was just for this race. We needed an extra guy. Guerini again spent a lot of time in South Africa. He has family, I think, in the Stellenbosch area, and we invited him to join the team. So it's the first time we've tried a backup team. In the Epic last year for the Manny and Henrique, we had no backup team, and it's a new situation for us, and we're kind of using these events for looking forward to the Epic this year, but also next year, because it's a goal of the teams really to win that race.
So will you have a backup team for Manny and Henrique this year?
We haven't got a backup team for Manny and Henrique this year, but we still in that we're trialling how and the benefits and how it works around that, and we've learnt a lot in this race. And going forward, if we do want a backup team, then we need to increase the size of Cannondale Fracture Racing.
I just find it, virtually ironic that you call a backup team Maxime Rott in the top 5 cross-country races in the world, and he's a backup man. It just shows you the level of which mountain biking's got to nowadays, and the level at which sponsorships want to make a name out there for their riders.
For me, I think it's really pleasing to see the cross-country guys and embracing the South African Cape Epic, the marathon side of things. In the past, I think it's been the marathon and the cross-country guys, and I think I heard you both speaking earlier. That gap's closing really. I think the marathon guys are learning, and I think the cross-country guys are more open to go out there and get stuck in, and I think that provides for exciting racing.
Right, I think this is our leading women's team. Of course, there they are in the pink.
Well, leading from the front, aren't they, Gerald? I think they are just showing everybody else, all the other ladies in that lead group, how strong they are. And I don't think anybody is even trying to get away from them at this stage.
Yeah, it's Mariska Strauss in the South African champions jersey on the front there, the cross-country champion. Yolandi de Villiers behind her, Silverback Volvo OMX team. And they're a combination of riding really, really well there. Ariane Luthi is... off the back there, you can see about bike length back there, not allowed to get involved in the racing at all there. So she's keeping a watching brief there, so that's very important.
But obviously these open roads have allowed these groups to remain together when they go through some really rough single track. Those gaps are usually much bigger, but at the moment the roads leading to Kaleo and the final stage finish, they're all together out there, and each and every one of them really wants to take the title on the third stage.
For Helen as well, I mean, she's a cross-country specialist.
Yeah, Helen's background, this is Helen's first stage race.
Yeah.
And it's actually Maxime Rott's first stage race in his career as well, can you believe that? But Helen's learning the trade of stage racing, and Helen has an ambition to ride the Epic. But we wanted to start with a few smaller ones really to build the experience.
She's doing a pretty tidy job at the moment, isn't she?
She's doing a great job. She looks good on her bike there, she looks comfortable, and she's enjoying the terrain.
Phil, what I know is she might be young in years, but she's turning a huge gear there. A lot of the girls behind her are spinning a lighter gear, and Helen's just sitting on the front quietly turning a much bigger chainring at this stage.
Yeah, well, fortunately or unfortunately, depends how you looked at it, she has to train with Max, Manny and Henrique. So she's used to pushing the gears around. But they're on a single 34 there for Helen. Single 34 chainring with the Shimano group set.
Yeah. Well, it's fantastic to have them all out here racing this stage race as their first stage race here, and as a learning tool for you to see how you're going to approach setting up a second team to back up Manny and Henrique, perhaps next year's Absa Cape Epic. There's plenty of lessons to learn, but these are cross-country specialists. Would you see them becoming serious? I mean, Helen wants to race the Epic. How long would it take her to get to that sort of winning position, do you think?
Well, I think a good timeline would be 3 years, really.
Okay.
So this being year one.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a monster, the Epic, eh?
Yeah.
It's to be respected, and these events here are great. I was watching the videos last night, and the terrain is not easy. Eh? It might not be as big as the Epic, but for me, certainly, I respect this event, and I think it's fantastic organisation and the people here, and the guys are certainly waking up with tired legs each morning. It's not an easy one. They're taking it seriously.
Phil Dixon, otherwise known as Dixie.
Correct.
Yep, as you would be from the UK. Thanks very much for joining us, and good luck with your ambitions and the team's ambitions for this year. And we look forward to seeing you coming back year in year out here in South Africa.
And Phil, I think the good news for you, I think your job is safe. Looking at the level at which you've got these riders at the moment, I think you're going to be employed for another couple of years by Cannondale. So well done.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Now, this is the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek, presented by Biogen. It's the final stage, coming to you from Calio here in the Kobokkeveld.
Thank you.
Raji, did you know you can track your exercise sessions on your fitness device and upload via the Multiply site and then start earning health returns?
And the best part is, with your health returns money, you can get things like vitamins and supplements.
And even cosmetic surgery.
And with the savings you make on your contributions, you can pay for your kids' swimming lessons or your own batting lessons.
Perfect, Raji. You'll get it. So you're saying if you're active, Momentum will look after your financial wellness? Pretty much, that's what I'm saying.
Welcome back. It is the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek, presented by Biogen. Final stage unfolding as we chat to you now around the country. We hope you're enjoying our coverage. We do have a few communication issues, so we'll bring you live pictures as soon as we possibly can, whenever we can. So don't worry about that. There we go, right on cue. And this is the women's race. That's Sabine Spitz, Robin de Groot. They're not with the leading pair of teams. Candice Lill and Helen Grobert of Team Dormakaba are in the lead, but they've got the team of Yolandi de Villiers and Mariska Strauss of Silverback Volvo OMX with them, and these Team Ascendus Health riders are a little bit off the pace, so there's possibly a story unfolding in the GC there as they hook a left, a little bit of a domino effect as it slows them up a little bit. Vincent Durand from Team Bulls joins us. Hello, Vince.
Hi, morning.
How are you going?
Very good. Yeah, it's been a good morning so far for us.
Yeah, you obviously come into this race with slightly different expectations. Are you happy with the way it's unfolding?
We are happy with the progress. I mean, we have a set plan for the year. We have a set plan for this block leading up to races in March or the European season. And, so thus far we're happy with the progress. Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to distinguish between racing and training.
Yeah.
For us, this is racing. It's racing miles, and it's you must respect the race for what it is. As Dixie was saying a little bit earlier, I think there's this misperception that people, we use races to prepare for races, which is not the case. I think you have to take every race with the credit that's due to it.
Must be said, though, a couple of years ago when Carl and Urs won the Epic, a lot of it took place in this area.
Yeah.
And this was a great scouting race. You went on, they won it, but they used it to full effect.
I think so. I mean, in training and in preparation for races, you want to be aware of the conditions.
You learn. Yeah.
And you want to be aware of the climate and acclimatize and have an opportunity to acclimatize. And I think as a team, we've really managed that well in the past. It is a set plan, but at the same time also you can't determine the conditions 100% all the time, you know. So you prepare for what could go wrong in case it does go wrong, so that you can react to it quick enough. But in general, yeah, we're happy.
Robach and Gizmar going up this climb. I mean, that's fantastic images from the route of these two. Rock hard, rock solid. But look at Enrique Avancini behind them. You can sense that that little climb is starting to take some pressure on them, put some pressure on them.
Well, in fact, Gerald, they're in the last single track leading up to Kaleo at the moment. So these boys are really flying. I mean, they have put the hammer down, and they're probably going to do this 87 kilometers in a record time. But that group following them, well, there's our leading ladies, Helen Grubert, Candice Lill. They are sitting there very, very quietly. OMX, they have a great race today, and they could move up into second possibly if they continue to push like this, because our Ascendus Health ladies have dropped off the pace, and they've got everything to work for over the last 20 kilometers.
Well, that's Helen and Candice, a combination that have got together and riding really impressively here. But Yolandi de Villiers, she is amazing. She's had a great couple of years, and she's right up there with them. Mariska Strauss is the South African champion, just off her wheel there. She's going to be riding the World Cup in a couple of weeks' time in Stellenbosch. And Ariane Luthi behind her. Christina Coleman no longer in the race. Ariane not involved in the race at all here, and just keeping a watching brief. As a similar situation to Enrique Avancini. Just to fill you in on the scenario here, Candice and Helen have a 416-second lead over Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz of Team Ascendus Health, and 16 minutes back to Yolandi and Mariska. So what Yolandi and Mariska are looking for here is a stage win coming into the finish here.
Well, I think what's obvious as well is that Helen and Candice want to win every stage. I don't think they're going to give it to them.
Yeah.
So looking at the body languages of that leading group out there, I think Mariska at the moment is hanging on by the skin of her teeth. Yolandi, at 40 odd years old, is looking exceptionally comfortable in third place.
Paul, age has got nothing to do with all this, you know.
You know, I always keep on saying it to myself, age is just a number. You're only as old as you feel you are. So watching down there, this is one for the oldies out there for sure. But Helen Grubert sitting on the front at 20 years old, she is showing that the youngsters can turn into great marathon racers at a young age.
It's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, she's absolutely age has got nothing to do with it, yeah.
It's really exciting to see the women's racing heating up like this. I think we have a great international field here, and really they're coming to the fore and showing that the racing is as hot if you show it. So yeah, this is really excellent and good for the youngsters as well.
Now, Vincent, I mean, Phil Dixon talked about how they've been here for quite a while, the Canada Factory Racing team, but Manny's come out on his own in previous years and so on. Now it's more of a team thing. You guys set the benchmark in that sense, didn't you, Team Bulls?
Yeah, I think for us, you know, it's an important distinction to make between performance and results.
Yeah.
And you want to prepare to perform well every time you put on a jersey or you race well. I think Carl fell in love with South Africa more than a decade ago, and he loves the lifestyle and he loves the people. And I think something that's really important for us to bring to the fore is that we have international quality races that are exceptional. We bring good packages. I think there are other stage races or countries in the world that love marathon racing, but very few of them actually provide the package that we offer. It's good media coverage, it's really good footage that comes from it, it's really good training, it's really good racing, and the race organizers really put effort into creating unique events. And I think we are really in the front. We have a really high benchmark in the form of the Absa Cape Epic, but the other events organizers have grabbed onto the opportunity to create a standard which is very difficult for other countries to follow. So I think we'll see more and more internationals coming out here to train and to race, simply because the quality of the racing offers what it needs.
It does. It certainly is world class, and this is one such example, absolutely top class, and hence you get a field as deep as this. There are UCI points available for it, of course, as well. But the variety of riding every day has been very different. Every day has had its challenges. Yeah. The first day was a really rough technical day. Yesterday, of course, the big climb up Marina Monster. And today, well, it's got a bit of everything and some beautiful single track, quite fast. And for these guys, a really, really good hit out, flat box from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also what's worked well for the race this year so far, it made it hot, is that it hasn't been too hot, it hasn't been too cold, the climate has been good, the racing conditions, it's exceptional, and the farmers here, local farmers, they make a lot of effort with the trails, and the guys appreciate it. I think also something to add on to it is that the field is a lot deeper than what we expect, because you don't always know guys like Daniel Geismeier or his partner, but they've won the Transalp Challenge.
Yeah.
They're exceptionally good riders in Europe and respected as that. So you have to keep your wits about you, and really understand not just what's happening in race context, but who else is riding this race.
Right, we had a quick chat with Manny Fumik about and Franz Klaas about the difference between the cross country and the marathon races. You guys are the marathon guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there have you noticed over the last while there's a distinct change in the way things are going on in stage races?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, when the cross-country guys bring their resources, they have resources, and this assists a lot in performance. Performance is not just about results. It really is about preparation and creating a team environment where you can, optimize performance, where the guys have less chances of making mistakes. And the cross-country scene has got a really good infrastructure.
Yeah.
And as soon as they bring that over to marathon racing, it provides an opportunity for the guys to perform here, the cross-country riders to perform here. So, if you want to make a dolphin swim, you must add water. And this is very much the case. So there's ample water for these guys to perform at top level, and now it becomes a little bit of a chess game. How long can they last, and can the marathon riders hold on to the intensity? So it's a little bit of a horses for courses. You can compare apples to pears, but only for so long.
Yeah. Manny said that he thought that some of the marathon riders had maybe altered their preparations a little bit, or changed their tactics in order to try and match that intensity a little bit earlier in a stage race.
Absolutely. And it's fine tweaking. We're talking about a couple of watts that makes the difference between a couple of seconds. I had an interesting conversation with Christoph Sauer a number of years ago at a stage race exactly about that. What difference does it really make if you take that extra little step? And he said, if it takes 0.5%, then it's enough for me. And I thought about it carefully afterwards. I think that year at the Epic, it was a 32 hours or 34 hours race win time. And that 0.5% was 3 or 4 minutes. In a stage race, it's significant. Yeah. So I think that's important to keep in mind.
Right. Team Bull's going well here.
Yep.
Simon and Tim.
Yeah, we're happy for them.
Going to ride backup for Carl and Urs.
I think backup is unfair. They're riding as strong.
They're podium. I know they're
podium before that. I think the reality is the idea of a backup team at stage races or at the Epic is only there in hierarchy. It's not there in performance.
Yeah.
If you want to win stage races like this, you have to have 4 riders that are strong enough to podium. And I think if you're going to have success as a marathon team, you must prepare all your team for exactly the same strength. Yes, I believe so.
Well,
so I believe the first marathon team that will take the next Epic or the next Premier Prize will have the backup team in the top 5.
Right. Vincent, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
It's great to have your team back here again.
We're really happy to race here.
Yeah.
And we really, like Dixie said, the organisation, the people are accessible to what we need, and therefore it really makes it worth it for us to come around, and we will be back for sure.
Right, Vincent Durand from Team Bulls, thanks for joining us here on our live coverage of stage number 3 of the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen. Look at it unfolding here, and there you can see where we are, not far away. There's the finish there. So the races are very, very close to the finish here through this single track. Now we can get a little bead on who's in this group, and we know that it might be one of the Bulls in front there actually in the dark jerseys, or is it one of the Canada, that might be Jeremiah Bishop or Eric Kleinans riding in front there, just to make sure that no one does anything silly for the...
Gerald, just remember, this is still the chase pack. Nicola Robach
they're up
and
the road.
Daniel, they've gone. So the real race which we're watching here is a race for the podium. And this is when the chess game really starts. They try and leave gaps in between on purpose. The strongest rider sits back and lets the weaker rider go up the road, if anybody is weak here. So they really are pushing the pace. I think that could also be Pyger still sitting on the front there at the moment. A dark jersey leading them outright there at the moment. So they really have thrown down the hammer here, and the gaps are appearing as you watch it.
I mean, we know Team Bulls are wearing dark jerseys nowadays, and Canyon Toe Peak also wearing dark jerseys. We'll get an eye on that. But one rider up there, the yellow jerseys are there. That's Albin Lecata and his partner Christian Heineck. And Warren from Biogen joins us. Hello, Warren. Not on your bike.
Oh, Gerald, no, not this weekend, eh?
It's a busy week for you, isn't it?
Yeah, no, very busy. It's a lot of logistics that go around to hosting such an event. So I prefer just to keep the fitness levels up, so if the opportunity arises, then I'll take it.
It's a magical event, this. Biogen have got deeply involved in this event. It really does speak to where you guys are going with your brand.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we were chatting earlier about the health and wellness of all the riders, and a lot of them that actually cannot continue just due to obviously stomach bugs and certain obviously illnesses that they take on during the event. And us as a nutrition brand, we focus on all aspects of the weekend itself. We don't just want to feed all the riders on water points, but we like to assist with our Platinum Series side of our brand on the health and wellness side. So if there is a stomach bug, then we've also got the solution here at the event to assist with that.
You've got a lot of riders here as well, Biogen.
Yes, sure. It's quite a few VIPs. We've come through with about 30 VIPs. Wow. And a few athletes, and fortunately they're able to also pull off a podium this weekend, which is nice coverage for us. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Paul, you were going to.
I've just got to compliment you guys at Biogen. I've noticed your electrolyte recovery drink, which all the riders climb into at the end of each stage. And I don't know how many you've gone through this week, but it really is working for all the athletes, from the top guys right down to the last riders coming in. They've all commented that you've really hit the sweet spot in more ways than one in their recovery, coming back after each day.
Yes, yeah. When it comes to the recovery side of things, when we look at what the bodies go through with this type of event, especially marathon riding over stage races, the heat is actually, when they're riding and the body temperature rises so well, they actually burn off so many electrolytes. So we thought, instead of making just our general Recovergen drink, we thought, let's actually just replenish the guys with a direct electrolyte drink. No caffeine and no sugar base. So with that on us at the finish line, it's been a real hit. And of late, we use it at the Atterquas, at the King of the Mountain, as well as yesterday at the Merino Monster, and that's also been a major hit and good feedback from there. Yeah.
Just let's go through what you do provide. Obviously, there's pre, there's during, and there's recovery. What have you got on offer here?
Yes, sure. I mean, from the start, we provide the riders with a decent goodie bag. So over stage one, they're able to prep the night before with at least 3 to 4 energy gels of ours, as well as 2 bite-sized bars and a water bottle spare if they didn't bring. And thereafter, we make sure all the water points are fully stocked up with our cramp care, our oats bars with those that prefer the higher carb content, and the energy gels again. And then at the finish line, it's our Recovergen as well as the electrolyte RTDs. And then throughout the night, if the guys, as I said, are suffering with any bugs or feeling the immune is low, we give them some vitamin C's and our Biogen products.
An ever-evolving business, this, isn't it? It's constantly boundaries are being pushed and looking to get the perfect product.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as the industry evolves, we've actually got to maintain the standard and remain innovative. So we've got to make sure that we look after every aspect of anything to do with health and wellness. So we've got to remain innovative.
And he knows this man races. He's a
Yeah. It's the racing has come up slowly but surely. It's obviously last year we partnered with Dryland for the first time, actually at this race last year for the first time, and ever since the bug has bitten at every race, and I like to remain fit. But 2018 will probably be a decent racing season, just depending on obviously the events itself.
Have you any in the calendar in pen at the moment, or not yet?
In pen, just recently. Grant and I have been chatting, so I thought with someone of that caliber of riding and experience, I thought, let's have a chat, and Grant and I will probably be partnering for Cape Pioneer.
Fantastic. Yeah, and he's a fantastic man to ride with as well. There's activity around the finish area now. Things are starting to happen because the riders are getting closer and closer to us at the finish here. We're anticipating that Daniel Gesmeyer and Nicola Robach of Centurion powered by Goldverse, will be in the lead and take that stage win. But behind them, cat and mouse going on there. It's fantastic for the racing with the GC guys all. I don't think Lecata and Heineck are going to lose it, but behind them there could be some changes there.
Yeah, look, as the riders come through to more of the finish line, it gets more intense. So that's where you see the split in how the legs are feeling after stage 1 and 2. So stage 3 for me is always the ultimate race to watch.
It's fascinating how it unfolds.
I've just got to ask you on the Biogen note out here, your VIPs. You've got Andrew McLean riding with our rugby great Joel Stransky. And what does Joel think of mountain biking now that he's riding with the big guns? Because I have noticed a bit of strain on his face.
Yeah, no, look, his performance has just been increasing, and obviously he's a man that feels no pain, to be honest.
Yeah.
So after all the falling and crashing and back and forth riding with the pro like Andrew McLean himself, I personally think it's actually a great partnership. Their mindsets actually complement each other so well. Andrew is extremely strong, but Joel mentally he's a phenomenal rider himself.
Right. I'm getting news from out on the course that's not very good, I'm afraid, from a South African perspective. Alan Hathley's had a bad crash, and there may be a serious injury to his wrist. This is all out from the course, and it's just been filtered through here. We will bring you news of that as soon as we know, but that is really distressing news for South Africa's champion, for the under-23 silver medalist at the World Cup, and for a man who won yesterday's stage was Simon Andreasen. So bad news for Alan Hathley. It'll probably mean he won't finish this stage, but I suppose for him the bigger picture is the World Cup.
And I think what it shows is the intensity of this race over the last 3 days. I mean, for an athlete of that caliber, he's obviously feeling the fatigue now. He's young in years, 21 years old. So, I mean, I think Alan has hit the red mark at this stage. And then you just push your body and your concentration a bit too far. And that's obviously what's happened to Alan. Very unfortunate. But the rest of the race has got to carry on rolling. They're professionals, and we're in for an incredibly exciting finish here at Kaleo.
We are, and we'll just do a little quick search to see how that might impact the way the race is going to unfold in terms of the podium positions, because if he's no longer in the race, they were in the picture, it might just juggle things up for the likes of Matt Beers, Nico Bell. Hathley and Andreasen were 4 minutes 41 and less than a minute ahead of Nico Bell and Matt Beers. So they're going to be looking at Bierkes and Base and saying, well, in fact, we can catch them and do something there.
Those two young guns were in fourth place now with Alan out the race. That fourth place is up for grabs, and like you say, third is there still as well. We don't know how Phil and Matthijs are going. And if Nico Bell and, as we call him, Shrek, Matt Beers, if they're feeling really good, 5 kilometers can put in a minute if somebody blows up.
Yeah. Well, it's all happening out there, and the vibe is starting to tick up here at the finish area at Kaleo, which is just, Warren, the most beautiful spot, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it actually gives us a lot of space itself to actually be innovative with the branding. So the space itself that they've given us here, and then the tents around, everything, it's just actually such a homely vibe. Families can come out and just support, and it's great to see, especially as a nutrition brand where the elites are always great to watch, but as a health and wellness brand, it's also great to just see basically the other riders at the back end that we look after, and they cross the finish line with so much emotion over a 3-day stage race such as this.
I mean, that's the key here, isn't it? We have focused a lot on the racing because that's obviously the elite level and the competitive level. But this is there's so much more going on here. You've got 600-700 riders that you're trying to reach and trying to contact. This is with Brian Lennox on the e-bike through the Hodenbeck trails. Beautiful, absolutely stunning. Doesn't this make you want to be out there and riding your bike on these trails?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's some awesome single track that unfortunately I am missing out on, but great to watch.
Fantastic. But yeah, you trying to reach it. Your product is you're going to reach everyone in this field.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we look at basically every rider that enters and how we can accommodate every rider. I mean, the elites themselves have been training, and they pros themselves for on the nutrition aspect. They know exactly what to take, when to take. So us as a nutrition brand, when we look at the back markers, then it's watching those riders themselves and what they go through on each and every kilometer that they pedal is really important to what they're actually consuming. So yeah, I mean what we supply at the water points is mainly for those back markers.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, if you think about that, I mean, I'm going to take 5-6 hours over today, or 7 hours, and your leaders are taking 3.25 hours. So consumption and the mix is quite important, getting it right for the back of the field.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you look at the elite riders and the times that they actually complete the race, they're happy to go right through. They don't have to refill. There is a water point staff to assist en route, but the guys that are around the 5-6 hour mark, they will be refilling bottles 2 to 3 times. So their consumption is very, very important throughout the day.
Right, just again to let you know, we are trying to bring you pictures as soon as we get clean live pictures from the route. Unfortunately, there was a fire that raged through a critical part of this course just last week, and it did destroy a whole lot of fiber optic cables, and so it made connectivity around the whole route very, very difficult. But here we go. This is the GC group. That was the GC group. Nicola Robach and Daniel Gesmeyer are out on their own. Well, not quite, because Henri Cavancini was in that group, but he's sitting off. He can't race with them. There are 3 riders up front, so it'll be Gesmeyer and Robach up front. That's now looking at the chase group here, heading down on this wonderful single track close to Kalia. The yellow jerseys there, Lecata and Heineck. They will be pretty secure in winning this race.
Yeah, I think that was Christian Heineck at the head of that group. He's looking very, very strong today. Alban Lecata halfway down on the group. And of course, they don't have to be, if anything less than 2 minutes apart, they're safe. In stage racing, if you're more than 2 minutes apart, you get slapped with a 30-minute time penalty immediately. So they'll be very aware of that, and they're very close to home now. I mean, this is within 5 kilometers of Kaleo. So very, very shortly we'll know who's going to win stage number 3.
And very, very shortly you're going to have to do something else.
You're quite right. I'll have to go and make noise on the finish line.
All right, he's going to go and chat on the finish line and bring the riders home, as Paul does so brilliantly at all these races around the country. Bring them home. And Nicola Robach and Daniel Gesmeyer are the guys who are heading towards the finish here at the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek, presented by Biogen. Warren, thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you on the bike soon. Good. And we'll be bringing you the riders home very shortly.
I see even the clothes break down, Andrew.
If you keep your body and bike in shape, the rest takes care of itself. If you're active, you can earn up to 47% back on your contribution through health returns by Momentum.
So I can get cash back just for being healthy.
Yep, frees up extra money, and for me, I can put that into my retirement fund.
So you look after yourself and Momentum looks after your financial wellness.
Easy as riding a bike.
Right, here we are. We're closing in on the finish here at the
compliments.
Momentum Health Tankwa Trek, presented by Biogen. Paul Valstar's magically turned into the Belgian champion, Frans Klaas. Hello, Frans. Thanks for coming back. Paul's gone to the finish line there. Daniel and Nicola look like they're going to put the finishing touches here. Huh?
Yeah, I think so. I hope they don't have the bad luck of yesterday, but I don't think so. They have a big gap right now, so they will don't take any risks anymore. And I think they really deserve the win today because they were in front from the beginning. So I think they will do it.
Marathon races they are. Although Nicola, he's quite versatile, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very diverse. He can also do cyclocross.
Yeah.
He was last year. He was 15th at the World
Yeah, I
Championships
remember that,
cyclocross in Luxembourg. So he's really an amazing rider. He can do like a lot of different things: cross country, marathon, cyclocross. Yeah, very talented.
Yeah, last year, in fact, he did the Cyclocross World Cup, World Championships. The next week he was racing here in 40-degree heat. So he's a really, really talented rider. And if they get the mix right, if they get everything going in their favor, as we're seeing today, no mechanicals, no issues, they can be serious contenders. They were on the podium last year at Epic.
Yeah, of course. And if you see now how strong they are, they were just here for 1 week, I think, now. So I think if they can train, they can still continue their preparation as they are willing to do. Then they can really do a big result in Cape Epic. But like Manuel also was saying, the level is going higher every year in Epic. Also here at Tankwa, it's an amazing deep field, and you really have to be very strong.
How many years have you been coming to South Africa?
It's only the second year.
And it brings you, as we've heard earlier, great value to come and train here.
Yeah, of course.
Here they come. This is our leading pair. They've done it. Nicola Rohrbach, Daniel Gismeyer, closing off their 2018 Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen with a victory on the final stage. Enrique Avancini just following them home. Yeah, he's had a great training ride out there for Enrique Avancini. He's looking in great shape. But great ride by Daniel and Nicola.
Yeah, super great ride. It's not an easy day. It goes very fast from the beginning. You really have to have some energy left today. So it shows in which a great condition they are right now.
Yeah, Nicola there and Daniel, little fist pump from Enrique Avancini, but really impressive performance. Here's Paul chatting to them now.
Yeah,
we'll hear that. We should be able to
the
hear
hammer them. And you went from the word go. A great win for you too.
Yeah, after the last 2 days, with a lot of mechanicals, flat tires and broken wheels, it was a really good feeling today to ride in the front and go full gas. And I think we could show what we are able to at the moment, and also a good test for the Cape Epic. And yeah, I'm really happy to win the last stage here. It was a really nice race. I enjoyed it very much, and I will come for sure next year again here.
Nicola, when you guys went to race so early today, we were all saying in the TV studio here, have they gone too early? I mean, how are those legs feeling at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, the legs hurts a bit, yes. But yeah, on this course today, it's not easy to get the gap because yeah, it's kind of all flat out, and then at the first single trail we got a little gap, and then I pushed Arnie. He was in front of me and told him, so go full gas, and then yeah, we got the gap. We come back to the gravel road, and then we saw on the back was also like one line, so, and then was our chance to road away, and then yeah, we continue with a good speed to the finish, but yeah, it was hard, but I mean, the stage was nice, the trails fast single trails, and really like that.
And just the quality of the riding out here over the last 3 days. Have you enjoyed it? Is this a world-class event?
Yeah, it's really a world-class event. The riders are riding here really good, and it was not easy for me from coming out of the winter and going from the first day full gas. Yeah, that hurts a lot, but I think now I'm back, and yeah, I'm looking forward to a big race.
But I mean, the Momentum Tankwa Trek is also so nice. Yeah, there is the professional, but it's also nice. All the hobby guys are all together, and like at the Kaelo farm, it's super nice, and yeah, we are really like that.
Well, thank you two very much. Come on, let's give a big round of applause. Daniel Gismeyer, Nicola Rohrbach, what a great win for Centurion Vode, and what a tremendous last stage.
Very impressive, Frans.
Yeah, very impressive, and yeah, the other riders are not still here at the finish line, so they had really a big gap. It's more than 2 minutes already.
Yeah, which means that in all likelihood, Nicola, the Swiss rider, Daniel, the Austrian rider, they'll move up possibly to 6th place here. Alan Hathley, we've heard news from the course, has fallen and hurt his wrist quite badly, so it's unlikely that he'll finish here. That's really disappointing news for him. And so these two will move ahead of the riders just ahead of them. Simon Stebjan and Tim Burma, the Team Bulls pair, were only less than a minute ahead of Nicola and Daniel, so it's more than likely that they'll move up to at least 6th place, will Daniel and Nicola, which bodes, I mean, the form that they're showing here. I mean,
yeah, of course, and I think without all the bad luck of the last days, they would have been on the podium also. So there they are.
Here they come around the race village. And this is the culmination of the race now. It's one of the Team Bulls guys up front there, but it is Christian Heineck and Alban Lecata who clench their fists and know that they have taken victory here at the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen. Tiger Eurosteel and just behind them there's Matt Beers and his partner Nico Bell, but it is Lakata and Heineck who have, look at it, it means a lot to Albin, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so, because last year he had really a bad result at Tankwa Trek. He wasn't at the shape he was willing to, but now, yeah, he's there. You can see he was looking very strong from the first day already. And I think also at the Epic there will be one of the big competitors.
Well, there's Jeremiah Bishop, that's Eric Kleinans, now the team manager of this team, and they rode in support of these two, and big congratulations from Jeremiah Bishop, the American, and Eric Kleinans, who rode with him. Great result for the team Canyon Toe Peak, and there is Christian Heineck. Let's listen to Paul's chat with him.
You are finally going to depart from Calais as the winners of a Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen in 2018. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I mean, how can I feel? I mean, it's a great start to the season, and obviously after quite some time, when it didn't really work out for us with Alban, it finally did work out. So I think that's the biggest part of this race, that we were just working perfectly together, not just me and Alban, but also the support team with Eric and JB. So it was just the work of the whole team, and it was a great race. Thanks.
Alban, world marathon champion, the man from Austria. You got the title, but just watching the stage today, and the visuals were amazing watching you guys. I mean, today everybody put down the hammer on the front there.
Yeah, the pressure was for sure on, but it was an awesome race. It was fast from the beginning. The first 30 Ks was like I don't know, 40 average or whatever. And on the single trail, it was a hard sprint to get there in the front. But then, we did everything right today, and it was just a perfect race. Yeah.
And the quality of the riding, you're a world marathon champion. You race all over the world. How's it been over the last 3 days?
Yeah, usually I'm not in the best shape at this time of the year, but this year it looks like I'm a little bit better on my way, and I'm better prepared, and finally everything is paying off, and I'm really happy that I could start the season with this win with Christian, and hopefully that's a good sign for the Epic. But now we have this one, we're enjoying this one, and we still have to do a lot of work. I think for the Epic there's even a bigger competition there, but anyway, we are now on the good way, and that's it.
Well then, Christian, you are the champions. I think let's give them a big round of applause. Two of the most popular men in the world of mountain biking have got the prize they deserve.
So Christian Heineck, Albin Lakata, and interesting to hear Albin talk about how when he's come here in the past he's not been in the best of shape, but he's clearly now, there's a serious focus for him on getting the results early season.
Yeah, of course, and there's only one leg on Albin's Palmares, and it's the Cape Epic, so he wants to win it in, I think this year already, of course. But yeah, he said like my shape is a little bit better. I think it's a lot better than last year. So I don't think they can underestimate his level right now. It's really high level already.
Right, this is with our women's race. Mariska Strauss, South Africa's champion, on the front there with the Yolandi de Villiers. And we talked earlier about how they were hunting a stage win here because they're off the pace in terms of the GC. But they are hammering on the front here. And behind them is Ariane Luti. That's the Silverback Volvo MX team. I don't see the pink jerseys there. They're perhaps a little bit further back. But all they're chasing, I'm not sure. But they want a stage win here, which is what really... those two will want to chase down, just from a South African perspective, of course, as well. So the leaders in that are Candice Lill and Helen Grobe, and that's Marissa and Yolandi, some rocky sections there. Ariane just sitting behind there comfortably. Can't influence the racing, though.
No. She's not allowed to influence the race. So she has to pay attention a little bit to not influence the race. Of course, she wants to follow the leaders, and she's doing a little bit of media work also today with the GoPro. But I think it's still okay. So.
All good. So Mariska Strauss, South Africa's champion there on the front there. Candice Lill and Helen Grobe are the race leaders, and they are comfortably ahead of this pair. So there's no problem there. There's race director Henko Radema's Bucky. He's just parked it there over the last 25 years, marking the trails. But This is the women's race snaking towards the finish here. The men are coming in now at the finish here. Meanwhile, the women's race is unfolding. It's about the stage win today, so often. It's great to win the final stage of any big race, of course. And Mariska out the saddle to put in a bit of an effort here. They'll have some men around them there, some of the age category racers as well racing with them. I mean, the depth of the field, I know we talk about the pros, but the quality of the riders from an amateur perspective is also very impressive, isn't it, here in South Africa?
Yeah, it is. It's actually amazing to see how much participants there are at every race. It's like, yeah, you can ask yourself, why do you want to hurt yourself that much in such a hard race?
And it's not your job.
No, it's not your job. They have to train before their normal jobs or after their normal jobs to spend a lot of time on the bicycles too. Because if you want to do this race, like all these kilometers on this very hard terrain, you have to train a lot.
Yeah, it's absolutely. Well, we're with Frans Klaas, who's the multiple Belgian champion out here training for the season. His second year training here, not riding in the race yesterday and today. Did you? When did you pull out?
I pulled out yesterday morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
But feeling better now?
I feel better now, yes.
So when do you reckon you get on the bike again?
Today I will still rest. Maybe I go out for a little spin if I feel okay, and then from tomorrow I start training again.
And then the training going into Epic, what's it going to be?
Yeah, so I do another 3-week block, I think, and then I participate also at the road race Tour of Good Hope, which is 5 days racing around Cape Town, and then it's 1 week of easy riding, and then it's full gas on the Cape Epic.
Do you train yourself?
No, I have also a coach who is guiding me.
Okay, so it's important to stick to those targets and so on.
Yeah, well, it's always about communication with your coach. Yeah. Like yesterday I had to ask him if it was smart to start or not. I was feeling really bad, so he also said to me, no, it's better to take a rest, let your body recover, otherwise you dig the hole very deep and then it's very hard to recover, then you need more than 1 week.
Yeah, listen to your body, eh?
That's very important for every athlete, for every rider, yes.
Yeah, well, Frans, that's brilliant. Fantastic. Thanks for joining us here. Thanks for being part of our live coverage here. We hope to see you back racing flat out and hard as the Absa Cape Epic approaches.
Yeah, I also really look forward to do some proper racing again and be healthy again.
Marcus, we're looking. He's probably in. Marcus, is he in?
I don't know yet. I was too busy with giving commentary, so yeah.
Marcus Bauer, your partner.
Yeah, I will go and look after him now.
Just looking ahead to that Epic, what would be your realistic? What do you, if everything goes well, where are you going to finish? What would you hope?
Well, last year it was with another partner. I was 10th at the Cape Epic, and we had a lot of bad luck. So. Our goal is top 5, but we will see. We would also be happy with stage win and be 8 at the end. That would be also okay. But from a realistic point of view, in the top 10, that's something that's like a minimum for us.
Yeah. Okay. So, and where are you staying here in Stellenbosch?
Stellenbosch, yes.
Yeah, it's
yes.
a great place to ride.
Yeah, it's the perfect location. You are close to every paradise of single track here. It's amazing how much possibilities you have here around Cape Town.
All right. Well, we just had a picture there of the riders. Here they go again, making their way towards the finish of this race. That is the pink jersey. That's Helen and Candice. Helen Grobert, Candice Lil from Team Dormakaba on their own there. I can't give you a clear picture as to whether they're ahead or behind Mariska and her partner Yolandi de Villiers, but they've just peaked over that little climb and they're heading towards victory. I think there's no doubt that they will win this overall. The GC, they had a fairly comfortable 4-minute lead going into this final stage. They've managed that because their closest rivals were off the pace from most of the stage, and the third place team was 15 minutes back, so some way back. But Helen and her partner Candice going really well. First stage race for Helen. Youngster, very young, so something like the big stage races. When did you first, race your first big stage races? How old?
Well, I only started mountain bike competition when I was 25.
Wow!
So yeah, that's why maybe you can't compare these
Okay, yes.
these young riders
Yeah.
who started competition at 16 with myself, but I did my first stage race when I was 26.
Okay. Did you start on the road?
No, I was playing basketball.
Okay.
But I was only 1.75 m, so a little bit too short to be a professional basketball player, I guess. So.
But cycling in Belgium is like the national sport, isn't it?
Yeah, cycling is huge. It's especially on the road. We have like millions of spectators when it's the Tour of Flanders, for example, or Paris-Roubaix, who are the classics in terms of road cycling, but also for Tour de France. Everybody is staying at home to watch it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic sport. Here we go. That's Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot. They're second overall on GC. They look like in third place on the stage at the moment. So they are just making their way towards the finish here of the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen. Sabine, well, what an example she is on the front there. She's a very mature rider, gold, silver and bronze in the Olympics, world champion cross country, world champion marathon. She's done it all, and here she is still racing at the sharp end. You've got many years still to go, eh? If you started late as well, so
yeah. And if you look to the riders who are now top level in terms of stage racing, in terms of Cape Epic, for sure you can compete until you are 40 or maybe 42. It's all depending of your own motivation, where your life is going to, if you have enough support, sponsors, because you need a lot of money to compete in these kind of races. You need to have a professional equipment, so that's also really important.
France, we're going to go now to the stage podium. There they are. Those are the guys who first, second and third in today's race. And Daniel Gesmeyer and Nicola Rohrbach with the Canyon Toe Peak pair of Jeremiah Bishop, at least Christian Heineck and Alban Lecata, and the Page Eurosteel pair of Philip Bass and Matthijs Buurkes. These, of course, all unofficial finishes. Of course, the UCI commissaire here, Nick Flores, has to sign off on the results. That's always when they become official. So that once that happens, then we can put the stamp on it. There is the finish line and the crowd waiting. Now, this is the general classification. In the middle, Heineck and Lecata of Canyon Toe Peak. On the right are the third place Buurkes and Bass, second place Maxime Marot and his partner Marcel Gurini. So congratulations to them. First win for Lecata and Heineck at this race, and a big step for them as they look ahead to their Absa Cape Epic goals later in the season. So really, really important for them. So we're just awaiting the women to come in, and our leading women. Not entirely sure yet who that team is. It could well be Mariska Strauss and her partner Yolandi de Villiers of Team Silverback Volvo OMX. The pink jerseys on the shoulders of Candice Lill and her partner Helen Grobet, the German rider, riding her first stage race here, which is fantastic. So, Franz, Absa Cape Epic done. Then you're heading off. World Champs as a goal for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then I'm going back to Europe to do some European races. And then, of course, the Belgian Championship is a main goal again after losing my title in 2017.
Yes. Who's the champion now?
Now it's Tour Paulison.
Okay.
He's also already 41, so it's never too old to win titles, I think, especially like in endurance sports like marathon mountain bike racing. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident for this year, but, everything can go wrong from one day to another if you have an illness like I had last year. But then, of course, it's the main goal is the World Championships marathon in Italy.
Thank you very much for joining us, France. We'll let you go now and go and see if Marcus is here. Go and see if Varian's coming in, and just relax there. And let's hope your recovery goes well and you're back on the bike tomorrow. We'll see you around the streets of Stellenbosch.
Yeah, I hope so
and
too.
And the trails.
Yeah, I hope.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thanks very much. Now, we can call on Henri Cavazzini. Can come and join us, please, sir.
How are you doing?
How are you doing? Nice to see you again. So, Henri Cavazzini, shape looks good.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Today was another...
Just hold, there we go, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if I'm looking good on TV.
Do you think you look okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, he's my mate.
Yes.
Nice guy.
Yeah, there's your mate. You miss him today.
Yeah, I did a lot. So Manny had some back issues yesterday. He wasn't feeling really well when he woke up, and we just made the decision that he would pull out of the race because could turn into something a bit more serious, you know. So I think it was a really smart call. We are still at the beginning of the season. Of course, this is a nice race. We would like to fight for the win. We would like to get the points and also the training on the legs, the race training, which is really, really important for us. But I think it was like a smart call to pull out of the race yesterday. So now we just keep moving and building to the season.
So you had to stay out of the racing, of course, today. Where did Nicola and Daniel go? Where did they attack? Up before the single track?
So they first made a move on the climb.
Uh-huh.
They built like a small gap, and they were destroying the peloton little by little. So they were charging from the beginning, and they got the gap into the single track. Just at the beginning of the single track, they started to build the gap little by little, and they were quite consistent in the front. So I was riding as an outcast rider today, so I was just sitting behind in the bunch and waiting for the gaps, and then I was moving across. And once they got like a really nice gap, I just made a move and jumped to the wheel, and I could enjoy a really nice ride. It was really good training for me. I mean, those guys, they go proper fast. You know, they are good together. They finished twice on the Cape Epic podium the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So to me, it was just good. It was really good training.
I mean, could you simulate the race? I mean, I know you weren't racing, so you couldn't do any attacks or anything, but was it similar to a race effort, or were you just...
Yeah, it is quite similar, but of course the guys also know that I wasn't, you know, on the racing
so
against
they
them.
didn't have to make the
So
effort.
they were also riding like steady, and I was riding steady. Of course, it was like race pace to me. It was race pace to them. It was quite comfortable to me, but also quite controlled to them.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's something different, but I'm just really happy because I could still take one of the things that I was looking forward to take out of this race, which was the race training.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did 3 days of really nice trails, good effort. So I'm just happy. Of course, it's a shame that we are not on the GC, but I still enjoyed quite a lot.
Super Carl Platt roll in, and another day on the bike for Carl as he recovers from injury as well. You had a great finish to last year at the World Champs. World Cup starts this year down the road, Stellenbosch.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, to be honest.
What do you think of the course?
It's a nice one. It's a nice one, and what I like the most it's that slightly different to European courses.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of nice mix because it's a bit more flowy. It's a different kind of technical stuff, so it might change a little bit in the front of the race.
Yeah,
and maybe I'm gonna be one of the different
exactly.
names. Who knows?
Some of the Europeans aren't that happy with it because it's so different to the European. But I think that's what makes it unique. It's a South African World Cup race.
I mean, it's called World Cup.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not European Cup.
Exactly.
So
with you.
Honestly, I'm already not a really big fan of the attitude of some riders because they are always complaining if they have to travel once or twice a year. And to be honest, as a professional rider, your mission is to entertain people, you know. And our role, is to race on a proper level worldwide. And if we have one race in South Africa and another race in Canada, which it's not a lot, I mean, we need to do our job, you know, the best way. And South Africa does so much for the mountain bike globally. And I think we just need to, you know, to do our part as well. And to me, it's just an amazing course. I'm really looking forward. It's a nice place, nice town. You know, you really can feel the vibes of mountain bikes. So I'm just looking forward.
Are you going to stay here until then? You're not?
No, I have another week of training with the guys, with our team here in Stellenbosch, actually. And then I move back to Brazil for 2 weeks. I do a race in between, a cross-country race, and then I fly in again to the World Cup and also the Cape Epic.
Yeah. So you go really well, say, at the World Cup this year. You got to push for a World Cup in Brazil.
Yeah. I mean, we're still kind of working on to find the venue.
Okay.
But for sure would be really nice for mountain bike as well. And to be honest, I would love to see more races worldwide. I think this could bring different sponsors, different riders. I mean, I'm just an example of that. It's just hard to find your spot. To find your chance. I had to work so hard, until I got into a top team. And if you are a kind of a good rider in Europe, you just can make your way through way faster and just way easier. So I think could bring a lot to the sport, and we are at the moment that we need to find solutions to grow up. And I mean, South Africa, it's the first obvious step, because South Africa does, as I said, so much for the mountain bike. And I'm really happy that the World Cup is going to be held in South Africa this year, because I think it's going to open the doors, and also open the mind a little bit more to UCI, just to start looking, hey, maybe we should, look a bit more worldwide.
So riders rolling in, and that is. There they are. This is the leading ladies on the stage today. Yolandi de Villiers on the left, Mariska Strauss on the right. We heard that Candice Lill and Helen Grobert had a little bit of a problem and they lost out there, but congratulations to this pair. Young South African champion Mariska Strauss and the vastly experienced Yolandi de Villiers. What a big result for this pair. Really, really big result. Yeah, it means a lot to them, I think. This is against a high-quality field, a very, very impressive finish, and they'll be delighted with that performance. First win as a Silverback Volvo OMX team combination, and well ridden by this pair. Fantastic job. Or is she wiping the dust out of her eye, or is there a little bit of emotion there? It's nice to see. Really, really good. And South Africa slowly but surely. Now, tell us a little bit about Manu Fumic.
I mean, it's hard to speak about him, to me, because he's a guy that became more than a teammate to me.
Yeah, big friend.
Yeah, he's just like a big friend or older brother.
Yeah.
Because once I got inside Cannondale Factory Racing back in 2015, he started to look after me, during all the time. So he's always kind of giving me advices. We talk a lot, and he's a really emotional guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has a real passion for mountain bike and also for life in general.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to have him around. It just makes you happier, and it's just great. I'm just a fortunate guy, to ride for the same team.
Well, here we go. This is the second women's team home on this stage. Ascendus Health, Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot take second place in the stage today. They were second on GC, and that means that they're a little bit behind the other two, but they were a long way ahead of them on GC. So it should be that now they were 4 minutes behind Candice Lill and Helen Grobert in the GC. So it depends what happened. Here they come. Okay, safe and sound. Candice Lill and her partner Helen Grobert are the winners of the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen. This is obviously unofficial yet. It's to be confirmed and ratified by the UCI commissaire. But congratulations to Candice Lill and Helen Grobert, her first stage race. She's obviously in good form and has prepared well for this event. Let's go to Paul Valstar at the finish line.
The whole way through, we were watching your visuals. Helen, you were super strong today, but Candice, when you got that mechanical now, you must have burst a blood vessel.
I actually forgot that was on TV now. Yeah, when I heard the tire going, psh, I was like, oh, please seal, and then it didn't. But luckily I have some experience with fixing tires, so yeah, it was fairly quick and we managed to get going against the line.
And just your partner, I want to word with her, young in years, but she has been incredibly strong. Watching Helen on the final stage, she was turning a huge gear the whole time, sitting on the front. What a perfect partnership you two are.
Yeah, I think we both surprised ourselves a bit. Helen might be young, but she's a very mature rider. She knows where her limits are, and she never gets forced above that, and she just stays constant, which is a really good thing to have in a stage race. And yeah, we just complement each other. We're both able to ride on the descents really fast. So yeah, we had fun out there, and yeah, good pairing.
Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to send you away for your prize giving. We don't waste time out here at Momentum Health Tankwa Trek. But you and Helen, everybody, let's give them a big, big round of applause. These super athletes are winners. And before you leave, I just want to ask you, Helen, your first time out at this event, what was it like? Apart from winning, did you enjoy every moment of it?
Of course, I enjoyed it. It makes so much fun, also the atmosphere here. And first I thought we are here somewhere and listening to the music, and it was like a festival, you know. And now I just have to say I hope I can come next year again. Thank you, Candice, for your nice words. Being her teammate was really nice. I enjoyed it so much to ride with her, and maybe it's a good team for the future.
Well, Helen, you've got to come back next year. We don't want you to disappear. Once again, let's give them a big, big round of applause. And then, of course, all of our winners on the day.
Wonderful. And again, this goes back to talking about cross-country marathon stage race. I mean, Candice started out as a cross-country racer. Helen's clearly a cross-country racer. You cross-country racers are making the marathon racers very nervous now.
I mean, we just realized it, that we are not that different, in the end. So, and also we can benefit a lot from the marathon races, especially the stage races for cross-country racing. So we just are trying to include more and more races on our schedule, and other riders, in general, they are doing more and more marathon races as a build-up for the season. It's a really good way to build up for the season.
Well, the finish line images there, Sarah Hill there on the right-hand side, mixed team going beautifully all the way through. And we're seeing the quality of the riders, all the way through the field, the veterans, the masters, the amateurs. It's a serious business for these riders. And yeah, that's lovely. Welcome home. Lovely to see. Brazil, we see a lot of Brazilians coming to ride like Epic and a lot of our stage races. You've got Brazil ride, you've got, so how many stage races would you have? Too many in Brazil?
Yeah, we have few, not as many as in South Africa, but for this season actually, we have two UCI races, Brazil Ride, which is one of the main globally at the moment, and also Brazil Challenge, which is 3 days similar to Tankwa. So I think it's just a great format, I just love the vibe, I love the camping, I love the dining tent. It's just so nice, to be together with the amateurs, and it's just a nice vibe. I think it's more like the mountain bike routes, and I really enjoy to do that.
Yeah, fantastic. Enrique, thanks very much for joining us, and good luck for the year. If you were to throw forward to November and you're sitting back at your home in Rio and you say this 2018 was a great year, what would be the priority for you? World Champs, World Cup, Epic, all of them?
To me, I don't really target on results in numbers. Of course, I have some dream races. The Cape Epic, it's one of my dream races. World Cups and World Champs are always important. But in the end, I just wanted to play my role well in the sport. So of course, winning races add some value to me, and I can do good things to the sport and to the people. And this is my main goal. If I get this winning a World Cup or finishing on the podium or just winning some stages on the Epic, it doesn't matter the way. I just wanted to beat my way to do something else for the sport. And that's my goal, So in November, when I sit at my home and if I look back and I see that I did some good things to the sport, I'm gonna be happy, and that's it.
Baggy pants this year?
We are still discussing, We are still discussing. It's a big discussion with our performance manager, and he's trying to push us for the lycra and blah 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 because of aerodynamics and temperature. But I really enjoy the bag, So when I'm training, I just put the bags and I say I don't care for if I'm 5 seconds slower or faster. I just wanna enjoy. And in the end, it's just a a nice message, just get closer to people, and that's our goal.
Henrik, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Great personality. We love you having you in South Africa. Long may you come back and take your message all over the world as well.
Yeah, that's the goal. And I just enjoy this place so much, especially South Africans, and how you see and how you treat mountain bike. Just spot on for you, because you do a lot for the mountain bike, and I just appreciate that.
All right, Henrik Avancini, thanks very much, Henrik. Good stuff. And thanks for joining us from the Cannondale Factory Racing Team. Henrik Avancini, who rode alone today, sadly for him, because of the... there's Finny Barnard and Kobus Barnard, her husband. They've just crossed the line. That's Mariska Strauss preparing for the podium presentation. Long discussions and a great stage win for them in the race. So that's fantastic for those two, Mariska and Yolandi. Fresh off the course. Look at Yolandi also just getting the podium look all sorted. And so all done. Carmen Bricciato has just come in as well, riding with Sam Sanders. And she has finished nicely as well for Team Dormakaba. I've been joined by a wonderful familiar face, Ariane Luthi. Hello, Ariane.
Hi, Joel.
How are you?
Yeah, a little bit
If you can
tired.
just hold the microphone a little bit closer. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite tired, I must say. It's hard to ride with the leading ladies. They really put the hammer down those last few kilometers. Once Yolandi and Mariska got away, they really went so hard. I was really suffering to stay with them. Really, really well done. It was so great to watch. I mean, it's actually quite exciting. I had the first row or front row seat in the ladies racing, and it was really exciting.
Well, Enrique had the front row seat in the men's race as well, just sitting there watching. I mean, how does that pan out for you? You just chill, sit behind them, cannot do anything, and just watch it happen. Must be quite nice.
Yeah, it's very nice in a way, but it's also hard because you kind of
frustrating.
You want to say something, or you want to, give advice or help, but you just, okay, I need to keep my mouth shut. Just be neutral, Luckily, I'm from Switzerland, so I'm used to being neutral.
So Christina pulled out. I mean, you're still able to get value out of today's ride in terms of preparation, eh?
Oh yes, for sure. I mean, it was proper racing. Also, it wasn't all just steady going, on the gravel roads there was obviously a bit of tactical play going on, and the pace was a bit slower. But then as soon as someone attacks, that it's really, really hard, and that's exactly what you actually need to do. You need those short, very hard intensity, and that's the perfect training for me.
What's your training? I mean, I've seen you all over Helshoek Pass and up to Yonkers and all over the place. What's it been? What have you been putting in?
In terms of training, hours and stuff,
or just generally, I mean, hours and mixing it. How have you mixed it?
Well, December was really kind of the base where I just put a lot of hours in, more on the road actually, just to have the constant pedaling, and it's a bit smoother, so you can really put more hours in. Then I actually had a little bit of a break. I went to Europe since the first time since 7 years. And
Christmas at home?
Yes.
Oh, lovely.
Actually,
nice.
A white Christmas, which was very special.
Lovely, yeah.
But even more special, obviously, with the family.
Yeah.
So there I did a bit of different things, cross-country skiing, I went hiking, just to have a little bit of a break.
All right, there we go. Yolandi and Mariska in front. This is the unofficial stage podium today. Then we've got Sabine and Robin and Helen and Candice, Team Dormakaba in third place. Silverback Volvo Omex in first place, and Team Ascendus Health. That's the podium for the stage. And very shortly, there's a little shuffle of the cards. And there's Robert Hobson, Matthew Stamatis, Eric Kleinans, looking as though they've had a grim old day out there in the dust and dirt. There we go. Winning the race, Helen and Candice from Team Dormakaba. In second place, Sabine Spitz, Robin de Groot. And in third place, Yolandi de Villiers and Mariska Strauss. That's the podium for the race. Good performance by Candice and Helen.
Oh yes, and one can just see, it's really developing, the mountain biking. those two girls can really ride technically very, very well, and that's where they made the difference. I could see it. If you always have to close gaps, at some stage you just get too tired from it. And I mean, they're also obviously physically very, very strong. They can go very high intensity. They showed it at the SA Cup cross country previous weekend. So they're formidable riders. So yeah, well done to them.
Ariane, you had a tough couple of years. Is Ariane back here? Have you got the love and the passion, the living there?
Yeah, I must say, really something changed. Yeah. The last 2 years, I don't know, I was a little bit in a grey cloud. Nothing went, and it just becomes so frustrating. I basically did the same thing. My head was just not right. I struggled with depression a lot, and then just nothing goes. And I really worked hard with it. I worked with a psychologist, and I managed to get out of it, and I'm really, really happy now. So
life happens. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Beautiful to see. It's so lovely. I know your future may take you back home and to Europe and wherever it is, but we'll love you here. We love having you in South Africa.
Thanks. May I just add something to the ladies' race?
Yes.
Because it's actually really important to say. I mean, It was quite a challenge. This morning it was a mass start.
Yes.
And very flat in the beginning. So obviously all the amateur riders, just pulled to the front. And actually in the beginning there was a split where Dorma Kaba with Candice and Helen got away, and Yolandi and Mariska. But they really played it fair. So they actually pulled out, braked and waited for the other girls so that everyone could regroup, and that it was actually a fair ladies race. So really I think we need to define the word sportsmanship new and just call it sportswomanship, because these ladies really played a fair game today. No one was drafting, and I was actually a challenge not to draft today. And
quite difficult not to.
Yeah, no, really, because there were so many men mixing it up. And I also just want to thank all the amateurs who were patient and just actually had an eye out for the ladies and just left them alone. I mean, I know they also want to race, and it's always a challenge. But thanks to everyone, and really congrats to the ladies. They showed great sportswomanship here.
Well, it's fantastic. Speaks volumes for the way the women are really making big strides in the sport, and also for the understanding from the amateurs and the veterans and whatever that in fact you guys, we're all in here, and they understanding the way it should be raced, which is good to see.
But it's really, it's really the professionalism of all those ladies. I mean, everyone is taking this very seriously, or not, still having fun, but they know the sport so well, and it's just all great ladies racing here, and I really appreciate that, because it's not something to take for granted.
Just quick into the epic. You and Christina?
Yes.
And how's she doing?
Well, Christina unfortunately got sick. She just caught some sort of virus, and it was just more smart to pull out of the race and not to push it further to get her more sick. So she went home last night to have a good sleep, a good rest, and her own bed. So I'm glad she can recover now. And I'm sure she's going to be back very soon. She's super strong and such a nice girl. I mean, we had a fantastic time, actually, apart from her not being so well. But I'm very excited for Epping.
We're excited to see you racing at the sharp end again. Thanks, Ariane.
Thanks very much, Carol.
Lovely to see you here. Ariane Luthi, racing or riding as a outcast, I think they call it in the Absa Cape Epic style. But she's one of our final guests here at our coverage of the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen. And it's all excitement on the finish line here. The riders rolling into the finish, the amateurs, the veterans, the masters, the mixed, the women's teams. They're all having an absolute ball here. Finishing 3 days of what is a truly remarkable event. I'm really sorry I haven't been here before. 6 years in the making, and this is the 6th edition, and without doubt it is the premier 3-day stage race. It's a UCI rated race, no question about the quality of the field at the sharp end, the quality of the field at the middle of the race, and the quality of the field at the back of it. But Overall, it is a high-quality, world-class event across all phases. Calio Guest House and Guest Farm have done a great job. The sponsors are incredible. And, of course, Dryland's team have done a wonderful job in presenting this event as they do in essentially what is the middle of nowhere here. There's not much connectivity in terms of radio and telephone and cell phone and so on. So bringing you a live transmission from this area has been a remarkable performance. And our team from Big Shot and Breadnet who provided the opportunity to do that, fantastic job. Hope you've enjoyed what we have brought to you. We look forward to bringing you a lot more live streaming broadcasts on these stage races, on all the races from wherever we possibly can. But hope you've enjoyed this. Just a reminder, unofficially, Alban Lecata and Christian Heineck are the 2018 champions of the Momentum Health Tankwa Trek presented by Biogen. In the women's race, unofficially, it's Candice Lill and her partner Helen Grobert of Team Dormakaba who are the winners there. Those will be confirmed. You'll be able to read those results online on the Tankwa Trek website once they are confirmed by our race commissaire. I hope you've enjoyed the coverage from here. Here's some highlights to make you realize where you should be this time next year. If you're a mountain biker, you should be here. Cheers.